Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn. Wherever you guys are watching from, please make sure to hit the like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Share this link. It helps me to get it out there. That way new people can find me. So tonight we're going to be talking about, is human consciousness at a crossroads? You know, we've reached a very interesting time, you know, as we cross the threshold of the end of the Piscean age and into the beginning of the Aquarian age. So before we get started on this, I do want to, talk about something a little bit more serious. Those who are not familiar, Kim F., my number one moderator, did send me a newspaper article, and it has been confirmed. Andrew from the Boogeyman channel, the Dot Connector podcast, he definitely has been on this channel multiple times. We've done a lot of work with Andrew and the Boogeyman channel. He's been so big when it comes to the spiritual awakening and just bringing so many people, to the truth and helping so many people learn and grow. And he's touched so many lives. And, honestly, he was a really good friend of mine. Me and Andrew used to talk all the time. He was just about as real as it gets, for a content creator. And Andrew will be, sorely missed. And it did say in the article that he took his own life. It said that he suffered a shotgun wound to the head. So, I mean, that's fucking rough right there. That's really rough and that's hard. And my heart goes out to Andrew's wife and his family. And, all of my prayers, my thoughts, and, and I just want all of you guys to, that see this video to do the same. Send your prayers, send your thoughts, send your positivity, love, healing to Andrew and his family, So that's sad. It's really sad. It was actually a subscriber that let me know about, Andrew's passing. And I mean, it breaks my heart to even think about, what Bex is going through and, how she feels like. But see, this is what's crazy, like a lot of us, when we dive down these rabbit holes, especially like conspiracies and shit like that, when we look at the darker side of these things, it absolutely begins to have an effect on us consciously and emotionally. When I was doing a lot of the darker conspiracy stuff, I used to have to step back, every few months. I'd have to take breaks, because the shit gets so heavy. It begins to weigh on you, and you're already going through the spiritual awakening process, which you guys are very familiar with, I'm sure. And your life it's fucking insanity as it is, right? When we begin to wake up, everything that was an illusion or a lie, everything that, all of the deceptions that we bought into, all of the false ego and, bullshit that we told to ourselves, including relationships, jobs, whatever, it begins to crumble and fall to the wayside, and once this happens, it's like we've clung to those things and we've been clinging to those things our entire lives. And we've had it instilled in us too, from our parents and our grandparents and, everyone around us, reinforcing the illusion, of that false life, that false paradigm that we've all kind of grown up on and we all bought into and believed, So that's a hard fucking pill to swallow when you find out that everything that you actually thought had meaning, everything that you actually believed in was meaningless, right? Everything that you thought was important in life was actually the things that did not matter and were they were the things that were enslaving you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, holding you captive, not allowing you to express your truest version of yourself, or to embrace your intuition, your creativity, you know, your uniqueness and authenticity of you as a person, as a being. You know, we've been held back by this. Now, some of you guys may remember, you know, speaking of Andrew and him, you know, taking his own life, a few years back, we had another family member from the Best Damn Fam. This has been years ago, about 2018, 2019. One Slamka that took his own life as well, you know. And I'm not saying that Boogie did it because of his spiritual awakening or any shit like that. I would not presume to know any of the reasons. I have no clue. But it just goes to show the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves when we finally stop passing the buck and we own the accountability of reality, right? We own our own reality. We're like, hey, you know, whatever is manifested, whatever is being co-created is actually a product of us. You know, we're no longer this, you know, this innocent bystander that feels like we are being controlled by the machine, you know. We have now become active role players in our lives, actively imposing our will upon the reality. You know, that's a hard fucking pill to swallow, man. Because then all of your mistakes, all of your flaws, all of your fuck-ups, all of it, you know, you begin to own that as well, you know. Not only are you accountable for it, but then you become responsible, right? To where now you know that this is your karma. To where now you know that you're in control and that it all resides within you and that it is in fact a projection of yourself. That is the reality. We literally project our own reality. And speaking of Andrew as well, you know, he basically, you know, brought Skydome Atlantis and, you know, soul luminescence, all of these concepts, which we were all getting on back then, you know, about this holographic projection or living in a simulation. You know, that was groundbreaking shit. Well, now we know it's true with quantum physics and metaphysics, and, you know, it's all being supported every way that we look, everywhere we turn. We're seeing that there's nothing solid in our reality. Nothing. Everything is energy. Everything is God, including you. We, in our consciousness, not only are we actively impressing or imposing or projecting ourselves through this prism that we call the firmament or the electromagnetic field, which acts as this prism separating the light, the spectrums of the rainbow, right? Which then operates through our biological artificial intelligence that we call the human body, our meat suits, right? Through our 7 chakras, you know, and this is how we project and create the imagery of ourselves and of this life. One can only say, like, when we look back on all that we've been through, all that we've experienced, you know, sometimes I feel like, and I won't lie to you, like sometimes I feel like I didn't author all of my life. You know, especially when I wasn't in control. Like, I wasn't writing the story. I wasn't writing those, you know, those tragedies and those hardships. You know, it doesn't feel like it. Is that something I would want? You know? But as we grow and we evolve and we like heal those wounds, we overcome those situations, we start to see like how all of the hardest, most painful experiences in our life were actually, you know, huge opportunities and blessings in disguise, you know, that allowed us growth, that forced us to evolve by putting our backs up against the wall, you know. It was the only way, like, you know, the universe could challenge us and us not run the other fucking direction, you know. A lot of us are escapist, you know, when it comes to this reality. That's why we create things like, and I'm not saying it's not real We're legit, and please excuse the cars and traffic and all that stuff. I do live in the city, so it's very busy here, even at night. And make sure to hit the like, hit the thumbs up if you're in the chat. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me and all that good stuff too. And I do appreciate all of you guys for joining me. I hope you're having an awesome Friday. And like I said, you know, Andrew from the Boogeyman channel passed away. So, you know, if you haven't heard that, you know, that's an absolute tragedy, you know, especially when someone takes their own life. So, is that a UFO? I don't know what you're talking about. No, there's cars. This is just traffic. This is just traffic. But think about the opportunity that we've had, you know, by learning these lessons and these experiences, you know. I know all of us, you know, we're taught, because the physical reality is, it's the polar opposite of what spiritual reality is, if you really think about it, right? In physical reality, we're told to avoid pain. Like, that's the name of the game, is like, don't get hurt, right? Don't go hungry. You know, don't be sad. Don't, like, all of these negative emotions and negative feelings, you know, this is what we're constantly, you know, making a conscious effort to avoid, you know, because we don't like pain. We don't like pain. That's our inner clock, our inner compass, our inner guidance that is actually, you know, telling us, you know, and this is why emotions are so amazing. It's energy, emotion, you know. And when we follow the good feeling, the good feelings, that is us being attracted towards a particular path or towards a particular person or scenario or whatever. And when we have these negative feelings or distorted energy, that's the key indicator that we are out of alignment, right? Like, that we're repelling away from that. We're like, fuck no, you know? We don't want nothing to do with that. And that's why, like, when you know, you fall in love and shit, you know, and you first touch somebody, you feel the electricity, right? Because the electricity is the attraction. The magnetism is the repulsion, right? But see, without these experiences, how would any of us grow? How would any of us ever truly know ourselves, you know, at the end of the day? Like, I've thought I've known myself multiple times. I've thought I've been aware and awakened multiple times. And I shit you not, every time I have one of these awakenings or, you know, these crazy experiences in life where I go through some sort of hardship, especially when I overcome some sort of hardship, you know, I learn a whole new level about myself, and I learn a whole new aspect about myself, and I learn, you know, I learn about my inner strength and how it's so much greater and deeper and more powerful than anything I could have ever imagined. And it's like, whenever I am, you know, faced with these oppositions and faced with these struggles and hardships, I shit you not, like, I always think, like, damn, can I get through that? You know? Or I see someone else going through something, I'm like, if that would happen to me, dude, I'd be shattered. You know, I'd be broken. Then when we do go through the experience, you know, we see just how powerful and amazing we truly are. You know, when we don't give up, when we continue to fight, when we scrape our fucking selves up off the concrete, you know, dust ourselves off and say, okay, you know, this is what it is, this is what happened, you know, I gotta live with it, deal with it, but now I'm ready to move forward. I'm not gonna lay in my own shit. I'm not gonna lay in my own suffering or my own misery. I'm not gonna allow my life to come to an end, or you know, because the world won't stand still for us, you know, when we're going through shit. You know, the world doesn't stop, and, you know, 99.9999% of people's life doesn't stop for you either. I don't give a fuck how much they love you, how tight they are with you, you know. Their life continues to roll as well, you know. And it's like we're always learning how to roll with the punches, but do it on a different level. You know, once we begin to have awareness, it's not about just like rolling with the punches now. Now it's about seeing the punches before they're thrown. Seeing the punches before they're thrown, having the ability to throw your own punches at the universe and to push the wave of momentum in your life towards a direction that you see fit. See, so many people in spiritual communities act like if we try to control our journey or manipulate our energy or anything like that, and that's what a lot of people would call witchcraft, by the way, but we all do it. We're all constantly working with energy in our lives, y'all. You know, and let me know if you guys can hear me and see me clearly, please, in the chat, and please hit the thumbs up for me. We are all constantly working with energy. That's life. We're energetic beings. We can't fucking avoid it. So when people sit there and try to shame you and tell you that, you know, it's witchcraft. It's witchcraft to try to attract certain things that you desire, or to try to block and protect yourself from things that bring you harm. No one ever says it to the church, you know, when they're like praying over somebody for healing or, you know, blessings or, you know, prosperity in their life. Nobody ever gets on the church for that, right? Because it's the church. It's an institution, you know, an exoteric institution that's externalizing everything. It's like, oh, we're praying to a deity outside of ourselves, so it's okay. Instead of understanding the actual energies that you're working with and that are most prominent at this particular time in the way that the planets are aligned, etc., right? And what colors and images and symbols and sigils we need to make up that that equation or that ingredients to actively impose or actively impress upon our reality and create the outcome we desire. But see, that's evil, right? That's evil if we do that. You know, and it brings me back to like the Bible when it says, like, you know, God says, I give all things to you, right? You have dominion over everything, meaning you are the highest form of creation there is. You are a son or daughter of the Most High. Everything in creation, which means the whole shebang, all energies, the stars, all colors of the rainbow, which represents the covenant, right? All of it. They all belong to you. You have dominion over all of those things because they're all being projected from you. They're all a part of you. So you don't have to ask for permission. You don't have to ask for permission to take your inheritance and your birthright and take control of your life, you know. There is a balance of allowing ourselves to be divinely guided in the influence of God to operate in our lives. I do believe that, you know. Like if we understand and give reverence and respect to that, you know, and you can call it what you want. You know, I call it God, Mother, Father, Creator, Christ, whatever, right? But if we understand that there is this ultimate energy, this ultimate embodiment, you know, that presides or resides over everything, you know, and we are a servant of that, this ultimate goodwill, this ultimate purpose, this ultimate truth, this ultimate love, which has the ability to operate in all things at all times and express itself not just through us, but through everything. You know? When we get into alignment with that, and we get on that particular train track, and we ride that for a while, you know, we'll notice that everything in our lives that isn't in alignment with, you know, ascension, awakening, awareness, love, truth, so on and so forth, right? Everything that is in alignment with that begins to fall away, you know? So humanity itself right now is like at a crossroads. You know, we're shifting consciously, truly. We're shifting consciously. We're all beginning to awaken and wake up from this dream that we all placed ourselves into. I hate to tell you and burst your bubble. A lot of you guys out there believe we are enslaved by fucking extraterrestrials and all that shit, which you're more than welcome to believe whatever you wish. Sorry, guys. You're more than welcome to believe whatever you wish pertaining to that. But in my honest opinion, you know, us being this infinite consciousness, you know, us being a fractal or a fragment of God, this omnipresent, omnipotent, you know, pure love and light source energy, you know, the only, you know, enslavement, you know, there is, period, and there's not, truthfully, is when we enslave ourselves to ignorance. When we choose to stay in the darkness and not just ignore, but avoid, you know, the awareness of our truest expression in who we are. That's the only time you're fucking enslaved, man. You know? That negative, distorted, low vibrational, low consciousness, you know what it wants for you? It wants you to feel helpless. That's how it feeds. So think about it. You're in a multi-dimensional, multifaceted, holographic, you know, holographic, energetic frequency, you know, expression, whatever, you know, that we call creation, all being projected from our consciousness, right? All of us being part of the whole consciousness, but at the same time, you know, not only are we all a part of the earth, which is the collective third eye, we all have our own individual third eye, and we're like nodes or eyeballs on the universal organism, right? And I do believe that earth is the center of creation. That's my opinion. You know, if we are consciously projecting and creating and animating everything from within ourselves, you know, then all that we see, you know, all that we see came from us. You know, and maybe that's why we are so special in the eyes of God. You know, because we are in fact God. You know, and that's not always going to be popular to people. People want to feel helpless. You know, people want to feel helpless. They want to look at this place and act like, you know, we're trapped here. We're trapped here. We've been duped. We've been duped. They tricked us here, and now they're just feeding off of us and eating our energy, and, you know, we'll never get out. We just continue to spiral deeper and deeper. And maybe so. Maybe an aspect of you, that shadow aspect of you, is meant to spiral downward. You know, maybe so. But maybe, and just maybe, you know, that higher self, you know, that heavenly self, which I believe is the luminary, right? Which is a light, it's illuminated, which is an angel, a planet, right? A watcher, a messenger, the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, right? You name it, dude. That's your higher self. That's the real you, you know, in a high state of consciousness, you know, projecting or focusing that consciousness into, you know, this being that you call you, right? But this ain't you. This is literally one of your clones. You know, that's the crazy fucking part when you really think about it. You know, this is one of your clones. And the reason that you have DNA and your genetics and why they're all individual, and why, you know, and think about it too, your DNA is completely unique and individual, and everyone's is, because every soul is completely unique and individual. So your DNA matches your soul. That way no one else can jump in your body, right? It's literally your soul's expression or your soul's code. Same thing with your fingerprints and all of that. You know, why do we have these spirals, you know, that are unique to each one of us? Not one is identical. You know, they're all unique. That we call fingerprints, and the tops of our heads and bottom of our feet and all of that. And they're electromagnetic expressions, right? Electromagnetic energy created these circular patterns through frequency. They match that DNA, they match that soul, they match that consciousness, and that's why when you die or pass away, that consciousness withdraws, right, from the body. And then it begins to decompose because it's without anima, it's without life, you know. It then becomes, you know, what we would call, and we could say dead, but really it's not, that's not even a fair term, because there are so many, you know, parasites and, you know, microscopic organisms that are living within the body and on the body, that it continues to feed and continues to live for a very long time. It transforms, you know. It transforms. And it becomes nourishment to other entities and beings. And what we call, you know, the stars and the planets and all of that are nourishment to us. You know? We are the microscopic organism, you know, living off of their light and sound and frequency that they emanate. And in turn, you know, those planets, and think about the planet, a base word being plane, like a plane of existence. Each planet having its own frequency or an archetype or embodiment, you know, Jupiter having its own element, its own archetypes, etc., right? Why? Because it's a plane, it's a spherical plane, it's a cell, it's a universal cell in our soul system. It's the micro to the macro. The planets matching the chakras, right? The colors of the rainbow matching. Like, do you see how it just continues to mirror? Boom, boom, boom. From big to small, from the cells in your body to the galaxies. You know? And this is God. This is us. There is no disconnecting. There is no selling your soul. The only thing you do is you can transmute your soul into pure darkness, distortion, and agree to enslavement. You can bind yourself in a billion different ways, right? And give yourself over in a million different ways and become subservient in a million different ways. That's what we would call selling our souls, right? And the reason they use blood in these contracts and all this, right? Because, you know, blood, once again, carries our unique expression of life, and it's like the ink, you know? That's why they write things in blood, right? To bind it on all dimensional levels, to bind that through our genetics, that code, right? Our frequency, our aura, right? It's in our blood. You know, it's like making that pact on all levels when they sell their soul, you know? And think about something too, like the soles of your feet, you know, and the earth being God's footstool. Okay? Earth being God's footstool, right? So this being, you know, underneath the soles of his feet, right? Our feet is what we, you know, use to create stability. So our soul, you know, and we have a spirit, you know, the living spirit, and then we have a individual unique soul. So the soul is the unique persona part of you, right? It's the part of you that thinks that you're separate from everything, you know, in its immature state, you know. It's the part of you that vibrates at its own unique frequency to make you, you know. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, but you know, there's no way that you can take, you know, you and totally give that over and, you know, and cease to kind of like be who you are. It's more of a process, little by little, piece by piece. Yes, you may make a pact with the devil or, you know, all of that. But it's like every time that you compromise your integrity, your morals, your beliefs, right? You know, that's when pieces of you fade away. That's when you give over your power. That's when you give over who you are. And so many of us do it without even knowing it. You know, it's like we don't have a pact with the devil, but yet we're still doing it. Most of humanity continues to do it to this day. You know? Every time you don't fucking follow your heart, man. You know? Every time you don't follow your heart and do what you know is right and true and just, and you do something motivated by selfishness or by greed, lust, whatever, right? Any type of distorted, low vibrational frequency, you give a little bit of yourself away. You compromise a little bit of yourself, piece by piece, bite by bite. You know? And we create altars, you know, when this happens. It's opposed, it's in opposition to who we are. You know, people can say what they want, but humans are inherently good beings, you know? And I've proven this in a lot of my videos, and like for some people who don't know me or haven't watched me for a long time, you know, I've showed you like through what we call backward masking. You know, whenever we speak forward, our subconscious is communicating in reverse, you know? So usually when we're lying frontwards, we have the truth coming out backwards. You know, we are telepathic, just 99% of us aren't aware of the telepathy. You know, but we're constantly communicating through pheromones, you know, through our thoughts and through, you know, multiple ways of speaking our language. That's why Christ said, truly, truly, I say unto you, or verily, verily, I say unto you. He was saying, what I'm saying to you is true, frontwards and backwards. You know, try reverse, backwards masking. I know you've probably, you know, heard it's witchcraft and dark and all of this. And people talk about, you know, like Stairway to Heaven. And you reverse it and it's like, you know, oh, sweet Satan and all of this, right? You know. But when you hear people lying frontwards and you reverse their speech, like these politicians, you can hear the subconscious talk and give its actual intentions, right? Because we can't hold it back. We can't hold it back. Our brains will even put the words together and form the words together through different languages. It can come out in Latin, and it's like your brain, it's only had to hear Latin one time and it knows it. You may not consciously know it, but that's how powerful your brain is, right? It will piece together all of these words. You're speaking, you know, both ways, and you don't know it. And I promise you, this is everybody. Has nothing to do with our intelligence. We're born that way. It's inherent in us. You know, so many things are inherent in us. You know, and see, and that's the process of circumambulation. And so many people put down Carl Jung and because he was a Freemason. You have to understand that in the time that those dudes was seeking knowledge, you know, Freemasonry was only, you know, they adopted all of the rituals and rites and, you know, all of that activates those particular patterns within the subconscious and conscious mind, you know. Now we have people that are high frequency, high vibrational beings that can use the internet and through their voice, right? They can speak that vibration, that frequency out there, and it'll activate you. It will trigger you, as it's called. Right? And then once we're triggered, we're on the journey as well, you know. We've been activated. It's like the 100th monkey syndrome. Once one of us steps into awareness, once one of us begins to awaken, you know, we're all connected. We're all connected through that stream of consciousness. So we're all eventually the light's gonna turn on, whether we want it to or not. And if you look around today, that's what's fucking happening. That's why you see, you know, all of this trendy shit with all of this self-help, you know, metaphysics, consciousness, all of it. That's why it's become popular, you know. It's because we're all starting to tap in and tune into that frequency. See, the frequency, the energetic frequency of the planet, you know, it shifts and changes through the cycles as well. You know, solar maximums control consciousness. You know, you may think whatever you think about space and all of that, that still is a celestial sphere that gives off, you know, not only just radiation, that is proven to mutate DNA. And every time that there has been a catastrophic cycle end, right? And all these cycles, when they end in catastrophe usually, or what we perceive to be catastrophe by the soil records and all of that. Everything on Earth mutates. Everything. You can look at like alligators, dogs, all of it. All of them mutate and change slightly in what they are. And you don't think humanity's done that too? Even though we found all of these Neanderthal and all of this, right? To show, Chrono-Magnus, we've shown that we mutate too. So when we find these large fucking skulls and shit, why do we think that it's aliens or giants? Why do we think that it's aliens and not us, in another mutated state and another cycle of the past? It's fucking mind-blowing. People don't want to accept the fact that we are powerful, that we are badasses, that we're the ones doing all this. They'd much rather create a figment of their fucking imagination, superhero being to come save them than them becoming the superhero themselves. Which is sad. Because you are a fucking superhero. You are a fucking badass. And please, hit that like, guys. There's like 20-something people in the chat. I got 6 thumbs up. So hit that thumbs up for me. We get some more people in here. But think about it too, and see, and this is what I'm talking about with the astrological cycles. And see, and people think that astrology is bullshit, but it's because they don't understand it. Most astrologies are fuckheads, and they don't know what they're talking about. I absolutely agree, right? But it's because, and same thing with tarot readers too. They give us such a bad name, right? Give us such a bad name. It's fucking shameful. Same thing, content creators, spiritualists, all of it. But for all of the frauds, the fakes, and the dum-dums, they're trying to make a quick buck and, push their brand of bullshit, never cracked the book or, absorbed any of the ancient wisdom themselves. My intuition led me here. My intuition guided me. It's like you haven't been initiated in any way within yourself, self-initiation in any way to be able to, say that you're, and I was listening to a tarot video earlier today. And I'm not knocking nobody, but the chick was literally saying, I'm a spiritual leader and I'm a teacher and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bitch, please. Bitch, please. On what authority? What authority do we have, to proclaim ourselves leaders amongst men, amongst humanity? What authority do we have? To say that we have the divine right of teaching. See, a real teacher is a student. They're constantly learning. That's all they do is learn. And a real leader follows. They follow. They're constantly in service to everyone else. Not saying, hey, come serve me. No. They're trying to figure out how they can serve you. And the only thing that they're sharing is their beliefs and their knowledge and their wisdom, of their own experience and their own lives. And if you want or can glean something from that, then so be it. If not, maybe it will just make you feel good because it resonates with you, or that you're not alone in that experience. They have to do it by example, And we've got shit so twisted. Everybody now wants to be a teacher, wants to be a guru, wants to call themselves a leader. I hate to tell you, leaders don't call themselves leaders. They just don't. People just follow naturally. And good leaders don't want to put people underneath them as well. Right? That's why I hate the term of subscribers, subscribes, right? Subscribes. As if you guys are beneath, the one channeling through the YouTube, right? And then you wonder why so many people have these huge fucking egos and become so arrogant, you know, when they get a little bit of recognition or fame as a content creator. You know? A lot of them do genuinely believe that they're above you and me. You know? And it's very dangerous too when we get like this anyway in life, and the spiritual community has become terrible for it. A lot of people don't want to fuck with spirituality or the spiritual community. Why? Because they get shamed. You know, they come in trying to learn something, and if they aren't all the way caught up with everybody in the community and all the stuff that, you know, is the consensus of knowledge, they're treated like fucking idiots. They're talked down to, you know? Everyone in their lives, their families, their friends. Why do you think you lose all your families and friends a lot of times, right? A lot of people think it's because, and sometimes it is because, you know, they are out of alignment with the path that you're on, you know, and their presence is preventing you from getting to a certain place in life, right? So that does happen. But also think about it. If you're walking around calling everybody a sheep, a sheeple, treating them like they're fucking dumb, speaking to them, you know, condescending as shit, right? With pure arrogance, I wouldn't want to hang out with your fucking ass either. Think about it. Everybody hit that thumbs up, guys. We got 28 people in chat. I've got 6 thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up for me, please. So it's like, I wouldn't want to hang out with your fucking ass either. You know? But nobody thinks about that. Nobody considers that. It's like, this is why it's dangerous as fuck to spiritualize the ego. And see, and that's what we're actually doing, guys, is spiritualizing the ego when we take this route. I can tell you this, and that's why, you know, it says, humble thyself and be exalted. Exalt thyself and be humbled, right? I had to have this happen to me, myself. Swear to you. It was fucking embarrassing. Humiliating. And that's why in a lot of these, you know, clubs, you know, they have things like humiliation rituals, right? And one of the famous ones, or the more prominent humiliation rituals, is like the Chris Rock, Will Smith's one, right? Where he slaps him in the, bitch smacks him in the face. A lot of people believe that it was a humiliation ritual, right? And we see this a lot, you know, these rituals where these celebrities, or politicians, you know, they are absolutely fucking ruined or humiliated or made to look ridiculous in front of everyone. You know, they get too big for their fucking britches and bam. You know, it's happened to me in my life too. 2020, I was making so much money online. I was able to have access to beautiful women who didn't like me at all. They just liked I was online and doing this. You know. The drugs, yeah, I fucking partied my ass off. I had about a $300 a day habit. You know, I'm lucky to be here. I traveled all over the United States. I was on radio programs, magazine articles, you know, you name it. I got to do some really cool experiences. You know what? I got my head got big. I got too big for my fucking britches, you know? I thought I knew everything. You know? I had all these people reinforcing that I did all the time. They were always telling me how smart I was, how intelligent I was, and how much I knew, and blah, 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 and how good of a person I was. And I wasn't a good person, though, is the kicker. I was a sack of dog shit. You know? You know, I was ashamed of myself and like who I was and who I had become. You know, that was a hard period for me. I lost my father in 2020. Let's see, I needed to go through some experiences back then And I did. I went flat fucking broke. Went from making, 6 figures a year to no figures. Right? All the women disappeared. They were all gone. The moment I was broke, they were gone. I fucked around and got involved with people in cults, in clubs, and shit like that. And they didn't want to initiate me for me to join and become a rich, member of the Illuminati. No. They wanted this ignorant, cocky motherfucker to come stroll on in and become a sacrifice. They hit me every which way from Sunday, too. I didn't see any of it coming. They knew that my weakness was women. Still is. And I was a terrible womanizer then. And that's what they used, to always get my guard to drop. And, sex magic is powerful. Very powerful. And it took me a couple years, guys. 2-3 years or better to untangle all of that. It wasn't until I moved to Cincinnati like 2 years ago that I actually started to get the mess untangled. I'd lost everything. I lost my following. Everybody lost respect for me. Like, I went into the toilet. And it was because I refused, to humble myself. It was because I refused, to take accountability for my life and understand that I was the one creating all the shit. I always wanted to blame, the gang stalkers and the fucking federal government and, all of this. And, don't get me wrong, the feds fuck with me hard still to this day. Nasty, terrible things sometimes. And it's because I'm on, what I do and what I've done. I'll probably never not be on a watch list now. And that's, and that's a side thing too about Andrew of the Boogeyman channel. Him passing away and taking his own life. Shotgun wound to the head. Every time somebody like that dies, I wonder, was it truly, suicide? Or something else. And I'm not going to say anything about that, but you guys catch my drift on that. It does. It makes me wonder big time. Because there's been multiple people, always, YouTubers and stuff like that, that are, they help themselves off this earth. It happens quite frequently, actually. So that's and I want you to know that I would never do that to myself. So, ever. So if that ever happened, that someone did it to me, because I'd never do that. I fought through so fucking much. You guys think I'd take myself out now? No way. I hated being alive years ago. I hated myself. And a lot of you guys may even remember, like, I used to have the pop filter and shit, and I would cover my entire face. Because I didn't have good teeth and shit from doing drugs and all of that. And it's like, my hair would just cover my face, and it was like shame. Shame. I walked in shame. And I hated me. I hated me for not just making poor choices in life. I hated me for allowing the things to happen that happened to me in life. I hated me for falling in love with people that didn't love me back. I hated me for self-sabotaging, when people did love me, because I didn't know how to be loved. I did it a lot, guys. And I had some good people, some good women, loved the shit out of me, do anything for me. And I just flat ruined it. Could not handle it. I'd never been loved in my entire life and could not handle being loved. It was far worse. You could beat me and abuse me. I'm used to that. I actually thought you loved me if you did that. But I could not handle actually being loved. And I'm not the only one. I've seen a lot of people like this, guys. You know, I've been with a lot of people like that, you know, because we attract, you know, what we are, our vibration, you know. That's why, like, if we're fucking lonely and depressed and all that shit, a lot of times, you know, we may end up attracting somebody also that's like lonely and depressed or super fucking clingy or codependent, or, you know, we'll attract a narcissist because narcissists always, you know, gravitate towards, you know, codependence, you know. And I did that a lot, you know, I walked that walk a lot. And sometimes I was a narcissist. I hate it when people act like they've never been that too. We all have narcissistic tendencies, guys. Like, we live in a society full of narcissism, you know. And think about the concept of narcissist with the Greek gods as well. Do you understand who he actually was? Right? Narcissist who stared at his own reflection in the water, right? This is the waters of the firmament, right? Waters above and below the firmament. You're 80% water. The earth is 80% water. In the Piscean age, the age of water, right? Staring at his own reflection, because we are a projection, right? We are an image. In the book of Genesis, it says we are created in the image of God, right? Or the Elohim, right? Elohim means supreme magistrates or supreme angels. Angels are luminaries, heavenly hosts, stars, planets, watchers, messengers, right? Deity, so on and so forth. So that's that higher self, right? Which, you know, that energy, that light and sound is being projected downward, right? Fallen angels, right? It's being projected downward from the heavens through that prism, right? Our collective third eye that we call the firmament, or the electromagnetic field. It's like a lens which separates the light as it comes through, right? And that light is separated into the 7 colors of the rainbow, which matches the 7 chakras, and the 7 chakras mimic the solar system or the soul system, right? Like I said, as above, so below, you know, micro, macro. You know, but I had this hatred for myself, though, you know, for not being able to be the person that I wanted to be, for not being able to create the life that I wanted to create. And I didn't realize, you know, what was holding me back from having that life. I would try really hard, you know, I would. And I would love people so much more than I loved myself. It wasn't funny, you know. I'd die for somebody else, right? Like, give them all my money, have sex with them 30 times a day, whatever they wanted, you know. Worship them. But had zero self-respect. They'd cheat on me and, you know, just show absolute no respect, love, consideration at all for me, and I would allow it. Because I thought I was being loving by forgiving them. I thought I was being loving. But see, really what it was, I was so goddamn codependent. You know. I was just desperate to keep them in my life. They didn't want to be there. They were showing me they didn't by the way that they treated me. You know? And I know a lot of you guys have experienced this. And we got 30 people in the chat. Please hit the thumbs up, guys. Give us a thumbs up, you know. Even if you're just strolling through, we only got 7 thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up, please. But, you know, they were showing me they didn't want to be a part of my fucking life. By the way that they treated me. lying to me, deceiving me, harming me. It's like I developed Stockholm syndrome. You know, where you love your captor, you love your abuser. Sorry, guys. You love your abuser. A masochist is like fucking getting off on the abuse. At least they're paying attention to me if they're abusing me. Yeah. If they cheat on me, then they got to try to make up with me. You know, I just, if I could give anything to anyone in life on this journey, you know, I would tell you that you actually are in control. That it's not just about our mindset. Yes, our thoughts absolutely create our reality. You know, that divine spark consciousness, it goes into our thoughts. Our thoughts, they fire back and forth, you know, through the electrical synapses of our brain, right? It's like a computer. You know, and then we wonder why AI and technology and all this shit mimics creation. You know, could it be that we're actually creating the mutation for the next cycle of ourselves? That we actually do go into a transhumanist state? And think about it, the Aquarian age, in the age of Aquarius, that energy, guys. And, you know, this is a kind of, you know, people always say, the controllers are doing it, the Illuminati's doing it, you know. But you see so much shit of transgender now, poly now, bi now, right? Where people ride the line, you know, in some way, shape, form, or facet, whether it's their sexuality, whether it's their gender. You see what I'm saying? How many people now don't believe in the left and right paradigm, right? They're walking in the middle, right? And it's a narrow gate, right? According to Christ. And then with transhumanism, thinking about that Aquarian energy, the Aquarian age, Aquarius not only is about social structure, right? And revolutions, okay? So when we do see, you know, this revolution taking place, that rebellious energy in society taking place where everybody's like, fuck the system, you know, fuck, you know, the way that you vote and all this, it's no good. Like we're trying to change the structure of society in the hierarchical system. Not just that, it's about the collective as opposed to the individual, you know. And then you see the emergence of collective consciousness and, you know, all of these collectivism groups. Which beware when you allow yourself to, you know, adopt a label, because what a label does is attach particular attributes associated with an archetypical persona, right? And you become part of that collective, and that collective is ruled by a figurehead or a character, right? So you become submissive or, you know, subservient to that character. And that's like when you see shit like the Trump movement, right? It's not even about like a fucking political party. This dude rules over his own shit, right? And they are diehard, these motherfuckers. And think about it, you know, how dark of an agenda that actually is. And see, just me even saying something about him, half of you guys will click off because you're so in love with it, you know? Or you're so opposed to it, you know, and that's what they do, the divide and conquer tactic. You know, the divide and conquer tactic is like, you know, create these extremes, you know, bipolar, extreme polarities. If, you know, you use the neuro-linguistic programming, you know, with words like racist, which we all know, you know, anytime we hear that word, it automatically has a negative connotation. So they slap, you know, him with that word, And what it does is make a bunch of people hate him. The media, the system shows how much it hates him. And we've never seen no vitriol like that for anyone ever. Because it's all a show. It's all a production. Right? It's theater. And they're doing it because it's psychological warfare. They're trying to polarize all of the masses in the population back on the side of the government. You know? And he is the government, dude. You know? Hate to tell you that. Republican Party, President of the United States, that's the government. He's not fighting the system. He is the system. And then you see these grassroots, and I use my fucking quote finger because it's not grassroots at all. These are also controlled opposition, right? And you see these things like the Q movement and, right, like all the patriots and, you know, all of this shit, Proud Boys, da-da-da-da, and so on and so forth, and all of these fucking movements, right, that are tied to this. And what they're actually doing through these collectives is gathering all of those people, scooping them all up into groups so they can be assassinated with him. And I don't mean physically, right? I mean character, you know, assassination. That's how controlled opposition works. And I believe it was Stalin that said the best way to, Stalin, I think, that said the best way to control the opposition is to lead it. You know? So, you know, the media and all of this projects, you know, how much of a shitbag he is. And, you know, they show the ugliest side of him, grab him by the pussy, his arrogance, and all of this, man. You know? And they're... And they're playing purely off of the fucking ego of the collective. They got you all in your ego. That's why anything that associates with that is like lower self. It's lesser keys, right? Like it's about race or money or, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like we get dragged into that because it gets us emotional. See, that's how psychological warfare works. You know, whenever we get into the, you know, our emotions, the logical side of our brain turns off. You know, so we no longer begin to think critically. You know, it's like, you know, passion now. And everybody is passionate about their religion. They're passionate about their political, you know, orientation, their sexual orientation, their sex, their gender, etc., right? These are all passion-based, ego-based, labels, collectives, parts of the persona, you know. And see, we'll fight for that. We'll fight for that like cats and fucking dogs. We'll kill each other for that. We'll start wars over that. Tell me we won't. And we've been duped. We're continuously being duped. And see, as we leave the Piscean age, Pisces, you know, it's Jupiter ruled. You know, that's the emotions, right? That water, that's the emotions. That's why we're in that emotional self. And those two fish represent duality, right? That's why everything was in opposition during that age, right? Dualistic, God, Satan, etc., right? Left, right, red, blue, black, white. Which, isn't it funny that most people don't even know this, that, you know, the 1111, you know, in numerology, actually, you know, if you take the numbers associated with each, you know, letter, right, and add them up, black and white is 1111. So when you see, you know, the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor, right? So all this 1111 shit that, you know, everybody thought they were following the awakening, you know what I mean? You know, you're being led to the slaughter. And it's through all of these different communities and all these different groups, guys. You know, the spiritual community is one of the biggest controlled opposition communities there ever is. You know, back in the day when, you know, I first started creating content and a lot of others, you know, you've seen organic content, you've seen crazy shit on YouTube and all that. Those days are long gone. Long gone. You know. And they wanted to leave you on your own. Like, see, they made us disgusted with, you know, conspiracies and spirituality and all this. We become disgusted with it. We have no taste for it anymore. There's nobody any good. They banned them all. You know, they shadow banned them. They got them all off. You know, they're not there anymore. And if they are, you can't find them. They're hidden by the algorithm. You know, or they can't speak about the things they want to, or the videos are taken down. They get strikes. Their channels are removed. They destroy your livelihood, like they have mine. You know, I literally get no donations now. You know, none. If I don't make, you know, money off of tarot, you know, or ads on like Facebook, I make zero money off of content. I'm literally doing it strictly for the passion and love for it. You know? But see, that's what they've done. They've silenced all the voices out there. You know, the voices in the wilderness. And by doing so, they basically picked off all the real leaders. You know, now you got, you know, people, like I said, you know, tarot readers and shit, self-proclaiming themselves leaders, proclaiming themselves to be teachers and guides and all of this. And it's like, okay, you know, if you were leading, you would not be fucking trending. You would not be going viral. You would not be doing any of those things if you were truly leading against the machine and leading against the opposition and leading against the darkness. They would cancel you. They would shadow ban you. They might even kill you. Yeah, you're leading all right. You're teaching all right. You're teaching people how to be a dumbass slave just like you. You're teaching people how to capitulate. How to be a fucking spiritual cuck. You know? That's all you're teaching. That's all you're leading. People say, John, why don't you do the deep dives anymore? You know, why don't you do the conspiracies anymore? It's like, I can't, bro. I can't. I talk about any of it, man. You know, it's silenced. If it's not deleted, taken down, and I get strikes immediately. They demonetize my channels and everything. I can't. You know? I am going to start, however, on Patreon. You know, doing private shows again, weekly. You know, where we can talk about the crazy shit, you know. And if that's something you're interested in, that's, you know, up to you. And I'm going to start creating too, you know, I want to set it up like a, you know, like an inner circle or a sort of esoteric occult school. But I need pillars and I need leaders to help me with this if you guys are interested. I am writing a book as well on, you know, metaphysics and the things that I've covered over the years. You know, and we're going to cover, you know, specific topics, and this will be done through Patreon and, you know, different memberships. You know, if you have memberships on Facebook and all that as well. And I'm going to create like a PDF outline, you know, for people to, you know, hit the PowerPoints, you know, and make a video, you know, a specific video for each lesson as we go through it, you know, from the, you know, the chakras to the, you know, the colors of the rainbow, to the different planetary energies, the numerological energies, you know, ley lines, I mean, everything. Cover it all. And put it in small bites and pieces. That way it's digestible. And you get one episode, one video, primarily focused on that one thing. And it's a deep fucking dive, you know. Along with trying to bring back the weekly deep dives on the occult books and stuff as well. You know, I've had so many people request that, you know, like getting into the different grimoires and all that. Because they're so demonized, right? They're so demonized. The Necronomicon and all this. And it's like, because people don't understand what it's actually talking about. You know, they twist it for their black magic and all this. And it's because, you know, they're still buying into the devil and all of that. They don't understand what the devil even is. You know? That's why all the true initiated keep the meaning on the low, right? They keep it hidden, you know? They want these fuckheads to go around, you know, giving off all their energy and focusing on this, you know, false deity, false idol. You know, sacrificing themselves is what they're doing, thinking they're doing it to others. You know. But we're going to be bringing a lot of that back, doing a lot more of that. You know, because it's important, you know, and it's not because I think I'm some teacher, I got some wisdom or shit that you don't have. Not at all. I'm learning just like you. I'm a student just like you. I'm trying just like you. I'm a work in progress just like you. But however, I do believe that, you know, it would be extremely beneficial if we are able to like team up and work together and create our own shit. You know, I want to bring community back to my channels. You know, I had to cut all that out for a long time because I had so many people infiltrate me and, you know, try to destroy me. I mean, recently, fucking, you know, Micah Dank, you know, making videos about me, calling me a fucking, you know, scammer and all this shit, you know. Had me hacked, had my phone hacked. They literally deleted my SIM card to my phone twice. Hacked my Apple account, hacked my email, all of it. You know. Reported me on all the groups I belong to online. Got me thrown out of them, reported my channels, just all kind, you know, sent, you know, endless amount of threats, you know, to come physically kick my ass like he fucking could. Telling me bad things will happen to me, my children, like all this, and then getting on his channel, you know, and being a fucking pussy and like trying to get all this sympathy from everybody and saying, oh, the big bad wolf John, he's such a bad guy. And then sending, you know, all this stuff to me, and I haven't said a word about it, you know, to anybody. I've kept it, you know, kept it quiet, but it's like, dude, you know, that's what actually happened, you know. And if I didn't do things correctly, then why'd you pay me? Right? So, that's that. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to get into any of that, you know. That guy's a shithead. And he's tried to defame me and everything. So. But see, that's, you know, that's the ego, right? That's the ego. If I had a person that I thought, you know, was just a pathetic junkie that was struggling and suffering in life, do you think I would come after them and start trying to sue them and trying to get them, you know, beat up and harmed and all of this? Like, hell no. I'd feel sorry for that person. I'd feel sorry for that person, you know, if that was the truth. You know? Like, their life must be shitty enough if that's the kind of shit they're on. You know, and that's how I think about things, too. You know, people are suffering so goddamn much, guys. You know, most of them suffer in silence. You know, I can't tell you how many people suffer in silence, and then people, you know, things happen like what happened to Andrew. You know, or one slum. You know, and they take their own lives. You know, and that's why community is so fucking important. You know, and there's always going to be fuckheads that try to ruin it for us, that try to take away, you know, what we've created and what we've built. They're always going to try to do that, guys, because misery loves company. It loves company. You know, and people hate and fear what they do not understand. You know, and the one thing about this community is we are the outcasts. You know, we've been cast out of society. You know, we've been cast out of the churches. We've been cast out of what's socially acceptable. And it's because we've rejected the system. We've rejected your monetary system. We've rejected your religious systems. We've rejected your legal systems, political systems. We've rejected it. We have no need for it, no desire for it, and don't want to participate in it, and we do not consent to it. You know, one of the most dangerous fucking things on planet Earth, and you want to know what the most dangerous thing you can ever say? I'm about to say it. One of the most dangerous things that you could ever say, period, is by making the statement or making the claim of being a sovereign being. Swear to God. Claim to be a sovereign citizen. Claim to be a sovereign entity or a sovereign being. And watch your declaration of sovereignty get you teed off on and your ass lit up like you've never been lit up in your fucking life. I don't know if you guys remember back when I used to have, Justin co-hosting, which Justin switched up on me too. Like I've had all these co-hosts switch up on me, like, Bailey, I go on his buddy's radio show and my criminal background gets leaked out into the chat and Google moderators deleting my moderators' comments, wild shit like that. And everybody will remember that. I've had people screen record my numbers rolling backwards, and then they kept labeling the QAnon shit on all my videos. I don't even like that shit at all. And I messaged YouTube and talked to them, and they said it was the federal government that was doing it. It's like, wow, this is scary shit, right? For an opinion? For an opinion? For real, bruh? And then you look at like I said, the things that happened to Andrew, and it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. And that's the sad part about this. But we're at a crossroads now. We're changing, guys. We are changing. That's why everything is now being exposed. That's why it's being exposed. That way we can see, it's being brought to the light. Everything that's hidden, in the dark will be brought to the light. And you know why that is? It's so the collective can see and witness, what's taking place. And just like the, sex trafficking and, child trafficking, all that shit, right? Been brought out to the light. It used to be so hidden and occulted, and if you even mentioned it, let alone shared it or showed it, you would be demonized and attacked, and they still do to a certain degree, right? And now it's been normalized in a sense. It's actually been normalized in a sense, which isn't good either, but the sound of freedom and all of that shit. But we have witnessed, the truth about that particular subject. And now that we have witnessed it, it's like the collective spirit is like, we're repulsed by it. We're repulsed by it. And it's no longer acceptable. See, when it was being swept under the rug and all the celebrities and politicians and all that shit, these cults and clubs, they were doing it. It was like a taboo, cool thing, and they kept it in the dark because they were ashamed of it, for sure. It was treated like an aphrodisiac and shit, a delicacy to do this to children and all this. It's disgusting. And the way they trafficked women and all that, and people still have that happen today. Matter of fact, and I won't get into it all right now, but I did have an experience, like I said, with the cults and all of that. And you guys know, I got tangled up in that stuff myself a little bit. But when I did, they tried to actually traffic me. Tried to enslave me, to traffic me in a different type of way. They will, they can get a hold of you in ways like you can't even imagine. Your mind and your emotions and your spirit. And they can make your life such a fucking living hell. that you'll do anything to make it stop. You know? And they break you. That's what targeted individuals is actually about. You know, they're breaking you. They psychologically profile you with all the fucking handlers, you know? And then they send them into your life to fucking traumatize the dog shit out of you, you know? Create triggers, create phrases, all of it. The gangstalking, the street theater, the directed energy weapons, it's all to fuck up the wiring of your nervous system and your brain. To rewire you, to create fragments in your mind, alters in your mind. That way you form attachments. You know, and not just talking demonic attachments. Think about demonic, right? It's a demon or a daemon, right? A domain, right? Which is a mask or a persona, right? So that's why these people get this, you know, dissociative identity disorder or multiple personalities or become bipolar, right? Mental health, because they've been fragmented, you know? They've been broken. Their brains have been rewired. And then anytime they hear particular phrases or words because of that neuro-linguistic programming, and remember, you know, somebody that, you know, practices that is actually called a practitioner, right? Like a fucking, you know, a wizard or an occultist. They learn through the power of words, right? How your brain is going to respond or how you're going to perceive particular words. Because within the collective, we have, you know, positive and negative emotional responses to particular words and phrases. You know, so when you hear these words and phrases, it triggers a feeling in you. Well, if they trigger this feeling in you to get a reaction, remember, whenever we get into the emotional side of ourselves, we turn off the logical side. We stop thinking clearly. You know, we get in fight or flight. The stress levels kick up. Our immune system shuts down. You know? And when they do this, this is how they program, you know, those parts of you. And you create astral ties or cords or connections, you know, to these fragmented aspects of yourself. And they can trigger that persona or that personality in you anytime. You know, let's say hypothetically, you know, and this is how they do the trafficking, right? Essentially. You know, they'll create a fragment within you that's associated with sex, right? You know, the promiscuous, they encourage promiscuity by, you know, using certain words, right, that engage that part of your brain, right, creating a physical, anatomical response, a biological response, you know, and then they fuck your ass up to where every time you're in a particular situation, all of a sudden you're going to be like, you know, trying to fuck somebody or suck somebody or whatever, right? It's crazy. And you become an agent of the system without even knowing it. You're an unknowing agent of the system. And I hate to say it, 99.999% of the population are unknowing agents of the system. And it reminds me of the, you know, the movie The Matrix, right? When, you know, Morpheus, you know, the woman in the red dress. And remember, red is about the root chakra, you know, passion, sex. And what happens when he sees, you know, that feminine, you know, is a... you know, creation, you know, life, right? Sex, you know, seduction. But he sees that red dress, right? Triggering that root chakra. And that's why advertisements and shit, like there'll be red cars and all of that, right? To associate, you know, your stability. And that's why a lot of witchcraft and hexes and curses and things like that they place on you guys. You know, and they do it not only through, you know, advertising and all of that. The masses are being, you know, hexed and cursed daily and bound and binded to things they wish they were not daily. But when you get a hold of a real practitioner or a real spiritualist that'll fuck you up, you know, a lot of times they will block your sacral. You know, they block your sacral energy because, you know, your genitals, you know, that's... You know, you know, in the Kabbalah, right? The Sephiroth, You know, that lunar sphere is your genitals, and that's where all of the colors, that's where all of the energies, the planetary spheres come down into one, right? And that's why you see a lot of Solomonic magic. It's practiced under the moon, right? They're invoking that energy. That's that, you know, that feminine energy as well, right? So Neo sees the woman in the red dress triggering that root, right? Triggering that sacral, triggering that sex, that passion, takes his eye off of the prize, and then boom, right? Dude's got that in his face, right? And he says, anyone still plugged into the system, right, is a potential agent, you know? And think about it, you know, an agent, right? Agency, meaning they have agency over something, right? Or something has agency over them, you know? And it's the machine, the system has agency over their spirit, their consciousness, mind, body, soul. You know, they've given agency over. You know, that's why, Freemasons are called free agents or travelers, right? Free agents, you know, because they're able to move freely within the system, you know. They've been enlightened but bound at the same time. It's still a fraternal order or a brotherhood, right? And see, and this is a lower aspect, you know, that brotherhood. You know, a lot of people think they're being freed by joining these orders, but, you know, think about it. Police, firefighters, you know, paramedics, all of it. You know, they have the 6-pointed stars, the 5-pointed stars, and all of that. You know, and if we were to actually, you know, get into the depths of, you know, what that actually means, you know, we do know, but, you know, numbers 5 and 6 and, you know, the different polygons, you know, the pentagram, and, you know, what all this represents, a Star of David or a Star of Moloch, you know. They're carrying that as a seal on them or a sigil on them or a brand. They've been branded, you know, by the machine as one of them, as an agent of the machine, of the system, you know, of the corpses or corporation, right? That body that speaks, right? That speaks for them. You know, that's why the United States of America is a corporation, right? It's an entity within itself, you know. And so are you. That's why when you're born, you know, you have a bond put on you. You're bondage, right? Through social security, right? They're securing your social, you know, order, social status, right? Within the societal structure. And they even borrow, the national debt is accumulated because they borrow on the amount of taxes, right, that they will anticipate you pay within your lifetime. That's how the national debt is accrued. You know, and that's why they poke the sole of your feet and all that when you come into the world. The doctor, right? It's spiritual. It's spiritual. You're being bound. You're being claimed. You know, that's why we have to, you know, do LLCs and all this shit once we create our own entity and, you know, shit like that. To be able to free ourselves from the system. How fucked up is that? How fucked up is that? You know, and see, you were born into it. You were born a slave, so you don't know what slavery is, or what it looks like, what it tastes like, what it feels like, what it smells like. You know? Right? Hope they don't throw a bottle at me, too. You know, this enslavement, you know, we'll fight for it. We'll do anything we can to keep it. You know, because we think like this is a, you know, we think that we're being protected, but protected from who? From them. The very ones that are protecting you are also the ones that threaten you, right? If you don't obey the laws, they'll put you in jail. They'll incarcerate you, right? protecting them from them. You know, the military, right? They get you to fight and kill and send your children to do the things, right, on their fucking behalf. You know, imposing their will upon humanity, you know, in other countries and taking them over. You know, and then you're all gathered under this flag, which is a giant sigil, right? A giant brand. You know, and underneath this brand that you've been branded to, you know, you have pride and patriotism towards that, you know. And that's why the Perpetual War system, and I believe it was the Iron Mountain Report back in the 60s, JFK, I think, if I'm correct. I've done videos on it, the Iron Mountain Report. You know, and that's what they were talking about, was the Perpetual War system. It reminds me of the book 1984, right? This Orwellian dystopian society, right? Where, you know, they had Oceania, Eurasia, and what was the other one, guys? Oceania, Eurasia, and Eastern Eurasia or something. They were basically fucking China, Russia, and the United States, the superpowers. And they were in a system of perpetual war, and they were even, you know, Winston or whatever, he was talking about how the bombs would go off and drop all the time, right? And that it actually, you know, it was firecrackers. You know, it was firecrackers, fireworks, explosives. They wasn't really fighting. They weren't even really fighting. It was to make them believe that they were at war. So they believed they needed the protection of the government and the military and the police. You know? To get everybody to, you know, to rally around those orders and those entities and corporations and fight and die for them. For the greater good. You know? And I remember at one part in the book too, and it's my favorite book of all time, by the way. If you haven't read 1984, where you been? You know. They have like a surplus or an abundance of food and shit like that. And think about, you know, our world. They have this surplus and abundance of food. And everybody make sure to hit that like. Hit the thumbs up for me, please. And they just dump it off in the ocean. You know, the surplus. You know, because they have to create a state of lack. Supply and demand. Right? Because if there's more than enough, you know, prices go down. Right? People are happy. They're not under the stress and pressures of the system to survive. They're no longer in survival mode. You know, they need inflation. They have to inflate things, because if they don't create, you know, inflation, if they don't create this, you know, this sense of loss or lack, this need, then you wouldn't work anymore. You know, you wouldn't, you know, you're a cog. You know, you wouldn't keep it all going. You would have time to actually think about your existence. You might paint a picture or write music or fall in love, or, you know what I'm saying? You might do something productive or something with your life. That's why they hate people that, think about how hard it is for, like, you know, business owners and entrepreneurs, like, you know, if you're self-employed. Right, in the system of taxation and all of that, they punish the fuck out of you, right? Because they want you to be enslaved to the corporate system, right? So they make it, you have to jump through hoops, right? You know, they give big breaks to the, you know, the big guys, because they're government owned and operated, basically. You know, these billionaires just as the face of it. You know, and this includes your social media. All of your social media, you know, is in fact, you know, that's the government, you know, period. FBI, CIA, I don't give a fuck what it is. YouTube, Twitter, or X, excuse me, Facebook, all of it. You know, they operate the social media system flat out. Flat out. You know. That's why there's such strict rules and regulations and all of this, you know, surrounding it. You know, so they can push and influence, you know, the collective, you know, mind or collective consciousness in particular directions. They create the trends, right? You know, I seen a little short the other day, which was weird. I had just shared a short, you know, in that goofy ass Hawk Tui shit, right? I just think the shit's funny. I do. You know, I have a sense of humor. I think goofy shit is funny. I think it's very dangerous when we become so spiritual and act like gurus to the point that we can no longer laugh at things, enjoy ourselves, and everything's got to be so fucking serious to where we won't watch certain types of movies. We won't listen to certain types of music, you know. Like, I don't go for that. I think it's, you know, and think about it too, and that's why I hate the spiritual community so much, because of that fake spiritualism. You know, where like, oh, I'm more righteous and I'm better and I'm more woke and aware and I'm more healed than you and blah, blah, blah. You know, as they shake their fucking fingers at all of us, telling us how, you know, we should be living and, you know, what's acceptable and what isn't. Well, it's like, according to who, motherfucker? You know? Who made you decide what is morally or consciously acceptable? You know? But see, with the Hawk Tui thing, it was so stupid, I posted like a little clip, right? Which is crazy. I post shorts on this channel, and I shit you not, they get fucking 10,000 views. You know, because they're short clips of the things that are acceptable to the algorithm. Nuts, right? But I posted that, and then I seen another content creator, actually right after that, which I don't know if he had seen that or what, or if it's just coincidence. Rich Lop, the tarot reader, and he come up talking about, you know, how stupid it was and idiotic it was and all of that, right? For, you know, and he's right. He's absolutely right, you know. But the reason they run that dumb shit, right, to dumb us down, you know. And it is, you know, it's okay to laugh at stupid shit, but, you know, that's another playbook of 1984, right? With the newspeak and all of that shit, where they show you this abstract, dumbass, fucking idiotic shit, right? To literally lower the collective IQ. You know, and that's why they always make all these goofy challenges and, you know, shitty videos trend. So I actually agree with Rich on that, you know. That's what they're doing. They're crashing your brain cells, destroying them, you know, destroying, you know, your thought process. And seeing, like, think about it too, if we see that trend and make somebody rich, as it has that woman, make her a celebrity, you know, everyone else will try to mimic now, right? They'll try to do something dumb as a motherfucker. They'll try to, you know what I mean? They'll create their own version of this, and this always happens, you know? And everybody will continue to push it, you know? And that's what we do. That's why we've shifted from, you know, online videos like YouTube. You guys remember, I used to do 3-hour lives every day, crushing it. Have over 100 people in the chat every time, never less, you know. And motherfuckers were able to, like, they were able to engage and get into it and, you know, be a part of it. And it was beautiful. It was fucking amazing, you know. I loved it. I used to be able to feel the vibe off of the chat. It made me feel alive. You know, I was addicted to that feeling, you know. And everybody be sharing links and, you know, their own information to go along with whatever we were doing a deep dive on. It was beautiful. You know, same thing with, like, we do post shows or private shows over on Discord, you know, which I have a new Discord now. They deleted my Discord server. It had well over 1,000 people on it for medical misinformation. right? But and like I said earlier, I'm going to start doing that again, you know, weekly private stuff and all that. You know, on Patreon, you can connect to that Discord and all that too. You'll get the upgraded membership. But we would do, you know, deep dives there too, Discord, you know, video chats, audio chats. And they were amazing. We'd stay up all damn night, you know, studying, talking, laughing, you know, the fellowship, it was amazing, you know. But see, they've taken that away by giving us all these fucking, you know, little vines, you know, like TikTok. And, you know, now YouTube encourages shorts and punish, you know, long form content. That's why I'll get 10,000 views on a short and I'll get 200 views on a long form video. Which the long form video, you know, has so much more information, so much more engaging, you know what I mean? Like it's, and especially when I put the productions together, you know, with the music and videos and, you know, the books and all that. I mean, you know, it takes hours and hours and hours, you know, an entire day putting that together. Not to mention all the years of research that went behind it. You know. But I can post a clever clip of someone else speaking, a celebrity, or who we consider to be a celebrity, someone in popular culture, and get 10,000% more, you know, views, more love for that. You know, because that's what the algorithm pushes. It wants to shorten, you know, your attention span. That's why everybody now has TikTok brain, you know. They can't sit down and have a conversation. You know, they're all neurodivergent and fucking ADD and, you know, all these different, you know, labels that they've decided to accept and give themselves. Why? Well, it's very obvious why, because they feel like they're special when they accept these labels. You know? We've been conditioned to essentially accept these labels because that's what makes us, you know, and think about it, all the special groups are the ones who get the privilege in society now, you know? That's why you have so many people. You can just be trans. You don't have to have talent. You don't have to anything. And if you start a blog, you know, and just document that journey, that life, you will be adored and beloved. You'll have haters too. But I mean, you will become rich online from creating content by just that alone, because that's one of those special groups, right? You know, and this is how they get you to conform, right? They do it through what's socially acceptable. And, you know, David Icke calls it the egg of consciousness, right? Like what we see, essentially it's like a fenced-in area, you know, of what is okay and what is not. And if they're pushing transgender, if they're pushing homosexuality, if they're pushing, you know, poly, you know, this and bi this and, you know, trans this and trans that, they're pushing these things, you know, for a reason. For one, you know, if you think that there is an actual agenda for some sort of depopulation or sterilization of, you know, society, because we are overpopulated, and there is, you know, a plan, admitted plan, you know, documented with Agenda, you know, 2030 and all this for sustainable development to thin out the herd, right? And, you know, that's what's got me in all the trouble, was exposing that over the years, you know, which I can only tell you what it's going to be like when Trump gets back into office in 2024, and he will. I wouldn't be surprised if Biden doesn't, you know, pass away before then, honestly. I'd be stunned, for real. And I'm not wishing that on nobody by any means, you know. I don't know if the guy's still alive anyways. But, you know, exposing that particular agenda, you know, and the C-19 and all of that and what that entailed, you know, we literally shifted into a new era, a new phase. guys, when all of that took place. You know, remember, the federal government was shutting down, occupied by 30,000 National Guard troops when the transition of power took place, you know, from Trump to Biden. And remember, like, the cannon salutes, it was actually, I think it was 3 or whatever, you know, somebody will correct me for this, but they let off the amount of cannon shots that signaled that a foreign entity had, you know, taken over our government. You know, we have fallen. And I told people that too back then, right? When we were talking about how Trump was compared to Cyrus, right? King Cyrus, you know, of the Bible, you know, and Nebuchadnezzar as well, right? But King Cyrus was the outsider who became the king of Babylon, right? And which he was, right? Think about it, you know, Babylon, you know. So the outsider that become the king of Babylon, and what happened was this outsider becomes a king, and then 4 years later, literally 4 years, that's when Babylon falls. You know, they reached their peak under Cyrus too. He brought them prosperity that were at their greatest. And then you've seen it was literally just like, you know, that's why there's nothing new under the sun. You know, when we look at the prophetical points of view through the Bible, and this is why I love spirit, and this is why I love consciousness, and this is why I love ancient texts too. Because see, what most people don't understand or realize is that these ancient texts that we now, you know, label as religions, see, they wasn't that for those people. See, you're under the, you know, the belief or the guise that these people were not as advanced as you, right? You think they weren't as advanced, or they wasn't in a higher state of consciousness or a higher state of civilization than we are now. They weren't more intelligent, right? You see them as monkeys and cavemen and all this shit, but it couldn't be further from the truth, right? Which is why they fucking built great pyramids, which is why they had all of these different, and think about this too, you know, these stone monuments were made out of particular stones that actually conduct energy, like, you know, act as a conduit for electricity, right? They were in shapes that actually, you know, act as a conduit to allow electromagnetism or electricity to come down in a certain way. And they were built on these particular ley lines, right, where the sun's radiation and energy, you know, going off of the poles, right? Because the poles, literally, you know, north and south magnetic poles, you know, creating that electromagnetic field, they literally flow off the top and the bottom of the planet, right? And there is these weaker points that they come up, creating energetic points all across the earth as an earth grid. And we call them ley lines, right? Well, all of these pyramidal structures were built on top of these ley lines, you know, and there was no Google Maps and shit back then. How'd they do it? And they're in an exact shape to actually be a conduit for that energy. Built as fucking power plants and shit, you know, like the Great Pyramid, literally, I believe, was like a hydrogen plant, you know, like a power plant for hydrogen, you know, meaning water. They were taking hydroelectric energy, you know? It's amazing. It's fucking amazing. You know, so we think that they're not as advanced as us, or we think that we're on some higher level than them and we couldn't replicate the shit that they do now. Literally. We couldn't even fucking duplicate it, guys. You know. And not only did they do all that, they also known all of the astrological bodies and everything, their exact place, the energy, the description, all of it. Right? They knew all the stars. They knew all the inner workings of our consciousness. You know? Their languages were living languages too. They weren't dead languages like we have now, right? In English or English, right? These were living languages where they spoke. It was literally life. You know, it had the heart language within it, like the ohms and the ahs, and, you know, and they were, their characters or their letters, right, were in the forms of symbols or sigils, which embodied an energetic frequency, right? Each letter harnessing an energy, a frequency within it, So it was more than a letter. It was an explanation or an embodiment of something being spoken in the tongue, you know, giving that magical vibration of that same thing, right? These people were far more fucking advanced than you and me. I hate to tell you. You know? They were literally levitating that shit. They had to. There's no other way. It wasn't aliens that built it. And like I said earlier, if you actually think about it, right, the giants and all of this, which, you know, they have tried very hard. Anytime giants, you know, skeletons and shit have been found, what have they done? You know, they go into museums, they're never seen again, or they're destroyed. Right? And you think it's because they're trying to hide aliens. You know what real disclosure is, my friend? It's that you're the fucking alien. Extraterrestrial. Right? Extras in like exo, right? Extra, I mean external, outside of. Terra, right? Earth, the terrestrial plane, right? We were in an extraterrestrial state, meaning, and we're intradimensional entities, right? Interdimensional beings, an interdimensional species, meaning we are at conscious levels and conscious planes. And as the sun, right, which is, it's our portal to God energy, right? The soul of our system, right? Solar system, right? The soul of our system. You know, giving off the light, the energy, right? The animation of everything through it. Life through it. The portal to a higher dimension, right? And that's why if you look at, you know, the nighttime, it's all darkness, which means darkness, actually dark, you know, is all of the colors in one, right? So it's not actually absent of light, it's all light in what we call space, right? And outer space is really the outer psyche, right? Outside of the collective consciousness or the collective psyche that is contained, you know, within the earth plane. You know, we're one entity here that is, you know, in the beginning we were made in the image of the Elohim, the image, right, meaning a phantom, projection, an illusion, right? We're a holographic projection of the energies from the, you know, the dimensions or the luminaries from above. We are the fallen angels. Fallen angels, right? Meaning we fell in consciousness to a lower state of consciousness. We were born into sin, which means sound, right? We were born into sin, which means sound. You know, and sound is just another form of light where it vibrates at such a low vibrational state that it begins to, right? Such a low, dense, and distorted state. Stars give off frequency, you know? So we were born into sin, we were born into sound. Right, the covenant, the ark of the covenant. Ark is another word for firmament, right? The covenant is represented by the 7 colors of the rainbow, the 7 chakras, right? That separates into that prism, those bands of light that makes up us. Born in image, phantom, projection, illusion, idol. Don't worship false idols, right? Because we're not the real thing. We're just a projection, right, of our conscious energy at a higher place, a higher dimensional space. So when we look up at the darkness, we look up at space and we see it's all pitch black, right? It's actually all of the colors in one. And what we see as stars, right? These are like the focused points where the dimension above, right? Because there's a dimension above ours, right? That's why God has his foot on the vault of the universe. And remember, the earth is God's footstool, right? So that means the universe is contained within the earth, right? Think about it. And we're the head, not the tail, right? Think about it. Just keep going with this and understand. Or understand, as you guys say. Right? So when we look up at the stars, these luminaries, which luminary, right, is something illuminated. It's a light, right, protruding, right? A supreme magistrate. Right? So it's a divine ruler, right? Something with divinity, right? This is a son of God, right? Projecting light and frequency and sound. And they're in a different dimension. If you was to go into the dimension above space, I believe everything would be white and the stars would be black. right? That's why the Masonic checkerboard floor, right? Black and white, 11-11, right? Duality, light and darkness, as above, so below. It never ends, y'all, period. Right? It just continues like a mirrored effect. These projections, and see, we don't understand this or we don't know this, but we've actually descended downward from that ultimate state of creation, you know, that God energy. And each time we fragment more, right? Fragment more, and we spiral down till we hit the bottom and we come back up. Jacob's ladder, right? The Sephiroth, right? And each time we're embodying particular energies and elements. You know, and that sun, which is that opening, that portal into the dimension above, right? That we're contained within the universe, which is you inverted, right? And remember, you know, we project our reality. You inverted, universe, you know. So that sun, that soul, right? Which does in fact affect, you know, our age, our consciousness, our brain activity, all of it. You know, depending on its activity, and it goes into maximums and minimums. It gives off radiation. The radiation mutates DNA, right? Changes the weather patterns, right? Causes, you know, it ends cycles and begins them. You know, and they're in 11-year patterns as well, right? I hope you're following me. So this opening, this portal, right? This light, pure awareness, pure life energy from the heavens above, right? The dimensions outside of here. Remember, the firmament, right? In the reality of the rulers, the hypothesis of the archons, it says that they separated the waters above the firmament and below. So that means there is another creation outside of creation, right? That's above the firmament, you know. Space is an ocean, you know. The ocean's an ocean. So these holes, it's like a lattice, basically, right, into the forms of these constellations. And think about it. Constellations are laid out into the shapes of animals and creatures and, you know, and all type entities and all of that, and the way that they align and project, right? Because one star gives off a light and energy, but it's part of a star system, a soul system, just like we have here, right? And that soul system, those are body parts of that particular energy, right? So like Pleiades and the, you know, the dog star and, you know, Canis Major and Minor and all Ursa Major and Minor, right? The bear, right? Like in, you know, the Bible even talks about, you know, the sweet influence of the Pleiades, right? The seven sisters and all this, you know, and like, you know, Christianity and all these religions want to try to turn you against, you know, astrology. But, you know, Jesus was talking about astrology when, you know, they asked him when the end of the age would come. And he said, when you see the man carrying the pail of water, follow him into his house, his astrological house, right? It's Aquarius, you know, and Aquarius is about consciousness, you know, the air, the ether, the consciousness. And he has the water because he's mastered Pisces. Right? He's mastered his emotions. He's mastered the physical. You know? And if you think about all of these former cycles too, you know, previous cycles before Pisces, which was Jesus and the fish and the great flood, the deluge, all of it. Before that, we had the age of Aries, right? Which is fire. You know, Moses or Moshe or Akhenaten, right? In the burning bush. Fire, meaning spirit or magic or Holy Spirit, holy fire. You know, that's what they were working with within that age. You know, that was the element that was prominent. That's why they were so damn magical, you know? And notice Moses threw down his staff. Right? Staff represents kingship. It also represents your spine. You know, represents your penis as well. You know, phallic symbolism is male, masculine. He threw down his staff and it turned into a serpent and devoured its own tail. Right? So in the Aries age, the age of fire, the age of spirit, Holy Spirit, right? Understand That's when that Vesica Pisces or Ouroboros was created, right? That's when we, we interlocked, right, with the higher and the lower, and we got into this, infinite dance that we're in now. Before that, we were in the Taurian age, which was the age of divine feminine, under the influence of Venus, right? And see, Venus is about the feminine and, copper and all of that. And that's why, the Egyptians and all that, they were worshiping Isis and, all of the goddess worship and fertility worship and all of that, right? So we had the age of a mother, age of a father. And that's why you think about the, Bible and God, and he was an ass-kicking dude, right? Yahweh, right? Which Yahweh is hands nailed, feet nailed, by the way. It's the tetragrammaton, right? Hands nailed, feet nailed, which is, also Christ, right? Hands nailed, feet nailed, right? And Jesus or Yeshua means salvation, right? So it's like we came in this form, the Christos, which is the anointing, is our salvation, right? Hands nailed, feet nailed, meaning crucified on the cross, the astrological cross, the above and the below now. That's confirmation. Those sirens are confirmation that I'm killing it right now, and that, I hope you're getting something from this. I hope you're all going to hit the thumbs up for me too. Sorry, guys. You see, all right. But you see, like what I'm getting at here, though. Each of these eras, these ages, when we had these beings, right? We were created in the image of the Elohim, right? Elohim, supreme beings, like they were an age before us, an energy before us, just like, Nephilim, they were giants, right? They were giants. The world was destroyed by what? Water, right? The great flood. You see, like, the kings, whatever, in Egypt, and they all have statues. And I've shown this before on the channel. Some are like fucking 15 to 18 feet tall. Some are fucking 36 feet tall. We look at Metatron, and he's 55 feet tall. These were stages of consciousness. And with these giants that we had, they were the Aries age. Dude, he came down, listen, the burning bush, he came down from the mountain, Mount Sinai, Sin, AI, right? And don't even get me started on the YHWH when we talk about the hands nailed, feet nailed. If you look at it in Aramaic, it's AUAI, which AU in the periodic table is gold, AI, artificial intelligence, right? Gold, which is the spirit in the occult, right? It's the heavens and the spirit, gold. Right? Refine us by the fires of affliction and purify in us like gold, right? And that's the whole thing with alchemy and Rosicrucianism, the rose and the cross, right? The rose being the lotus, right? Or the flower of life, and the cross being the celestial cross, right? Or the Ankh, Right? See, these are the mysteries. You'll never be told these by anybody else because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They just accept they never pick up a book. They accept the trendy shit that pushes online, and it continues to perpetuate the ignorance. They've never went through the self-initiation process, ever. They've never been initiated in any capacity. Because once you have, that's when that circumambulation begins, dude. Circumambulation is you orbiting the soul system within yourself through the chakras, right? You're going up and down Jacob's ladder. Each time, it's like a layer of an onion, peeling a layer off, getting deeper and deeper. It's a downward spiral, right, of gnosis. To know thyself is to know God, And you're going through each level, each layer. Orbiting, cycling, because it's all in cycles. It's all in orbits. Planets do it. We do it. Cells. And that is the womb. And womb in Hebrew means matrix. Right? We're in a womb within a womb within a womb within a womb. The universe is a womb. Galaxies are a womb. Solar systems are a womb. planets, continents, countries, states, cities, counties, houses, bodies, cells. That's circumambulating, right? You're going layer after layer after layer after layer after layer. Right? To get to the core of who you are. You know, that's why the hermit, right? Hermes, right? He's got his staff and his lantern. And you know what his lantern is? What's inside of it is a star of Aquarius, by the way. Right? And he goes to the dark, right? The darkness of the self, right? The shadow. And when all these trendies talk about shadow work, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about, you know? I can't stand listening to all this inner child fuck shit, you know? It's like, and I love psychology and I love these things, but these are such a small fragment of the truth. Such a small, small piece of it, man. You know? And they want to act like, you know, it's like, oof. You're drowning in ego and you want to try to teach us about your inner child and all this shit. Give me a fucking break. You know? And see, and that's why, see, at the end of these cycles, and like I was saying, you had Aries, right? Masculine, the patriarchal, and that's why angry, jealous, vengeful God, because that's masculine energy, control, war, protecting, right? And that's why they came down from Mount Sinai, right? And they were worshiping a golden calf, right? They were worshiping Taurus still, right? Gold representing the spirit, or a sun, right? And it was that bull, right? And if you think about it too, when it was, you know, the Zeus in the Greek mythology, and, what is his name? There were the two brothers, the one that created humanity, Prometheus, right? Prometheus, he tricked Zeus, right? We were first made totally divine, right? And see, and think about this too. All of the stories and tales talk about the same thing. You know, we had the primordials first, you know, Uranus and the earth and all this. And you think about the Anunnaki and their tale of, you know, Tiamat, you know. Or we look at the Necronomicon and the Cthulhu mythos, right? All of these saying the same thing, you know. Primordials first. You know, then we had the Olympians or the Nephilim and the giants, right? Anunnaki, Ajiji, right? These were ages of us, cycles of us. And that star, that soul of the system, that pure awareness, right, that we call the sun, right? It was in a house astrologically, so it magnified and amplified and fed us, our consciousness, a particular energy. Because we are consciously evolving. We set all of this up. You know, that's the Zodiacal clock, the precession of the equinox. We spend a particular amount of time, I believe it's like 2,600 years in each sign. You know, that's why Christ had 12 disciples, and 12 zodiac signs. That's why 13 is not on an elevator and it's so revered by the Masons and all that, right? You're 13. You're the one in the middle, right? The sun. Son of God. That's why it's all sun worship. See, they had to do this though. They had to simplify it. They had to make it exoteric for us because they knew that we were taking a big drop in consciousness. So what they did when they, you know, at the end of these cycles, they put it all in symbols, right? In symbols and sigils, right? Because a symbol is different than a word, right? A word is a fragment of energy being, you know, it's our attempt to explain, you know, a fragment of energy, or to divide something to be able to look at it, because everything is a whole, a collective whole, right? It's all one. So we create words to be able to express fragmented things of reality, you know? So these symbols, they embodied an energetic frequency, okay? And they knew that when we got to the time where we were able to get on that wave or that frequency, that those symbols and sigils would activate our memory, right? We would remember, we would put our body back together when we got to the end of the cycle and the end of the age, right? That way we could be, you know, enlightened again and understand our history. Understand where we came from. You know, we forget it. We have amnesia, and that's why. These cycles end, we get completely wiped out, you know, consciously. That's why in the Colburn Bible, it says, you know, after the destroyer, right? You know, and think about the destroyer of worlds, right? And then you think of Sheba and all of that. And Nibiru is Jupiter, by the way, right? According to the Babylonians. You know, Jupiter would be Jesus and Zeus and Thor, and right? So I'm just saying. But after the destroyer passes, you know, they came down from the mountain, and the mountain, the holy mountain, right? The holy mountain, you know, the temple of God. They came down from a high state of consciousness, and they forgot their gods and their guides, you know, and that's what's happened to us. You know, humanity got so evil and wicked, blah, blah, blah. You know, when giants were in the earth, as it was in the days of Noah. Guess what? Days of Noah, you know, that was an end of an age. You know, an end of an age. And notice into his ark, right? His ark, he took 2 of everything, you know, which is like a shadow, right? The higher, the lower, right? 2 of everything. He remembered back who he was. He put all the pieces back together. Humanity reconfigured to get ready to set up for a new cycle, a new age, and to get wiped out again, to get erased again. That's why we don't know who the fuck built the pyramids. That's why we don't know who built Tiwanaku and, you know, all of it. That's why the Mayan long count and its Baktuns ended in 2012. Right? That was the end of the age. You know? That was the end of the age. You know, and every culture on Earth knew it. Not because they were all being visited by fucking ETs. Because they were all conscious as fuck, bro. They were all tapped into the universal consciousness. They probably had conscious grids across the Earth with those pyramids, guys. Free energy and everything. You know, that's why those temples were, you know, temples of initiation, you know. You could probably go in there and, like, recharge your spirit or, like, be born into a new body, or there's no telling what they were doing. Like the civilization of Atlantis, right? The fall of Atlantis, you know. Think about this, man. There was a dimensional tear that allowed distortion to come in, right? They mess with dark magic, you know? The whole story of Cain and Abel as well, right? Killing your brother, right? Cannibal, right? We begin to devour ourselves energetically. We begin to lose balance. We got out of alignment. We fell in consciousness and became animalistic. You know, we had the animal nature that took over. That's why, you know, the children of the law of one or whatever in that book, it talks about the primordial age, right? And the true story of the fallen angels, okay? And in that story or that epic tale, that mythology or mythos, we were in, you know, a primordial state of conscious being where we were all one. And we were able to create, and this would be akin to the Garden of Eden, you know, where we were without sex, we were without form, all of it. We were just God energy floating around, you know, in our original state. And we created the earth to be able to create things, like make things, you know, and experience the physical and emotions and all that. And what they did was these angels, you know, or heavenly hosts, these luminaries, was projecting their energy and creating their energy. And what they were doing was they were mixing their favorite beings together. So like they would make a man with a dog head, you know, a man with an eagle's head, and, you know, horse legs and shit like that. And that's where we get all these ancient Egyptian deities. Because remember, the first fucking cycle, you know, of modern humanity, this, you know, round, would be the Taurian age, right? That would be that, age where they all had the, Egyptian deities, and the kings and queens and all that would probably be those original primordial beings, right? That's why the lines of kings, in the king's lines, they lived for fucking 30,000 years and shit. We were so close to our original state that, we didn't age like we did, And the more that we fragmented, the more that things changed. We lost, we were splitting into smaller pieces. So, of course, our life cycles would be smaller. We were deities, demigods and shit back then. Giants, right? Conscious giants, because we were bigger pieces of the spirit. But we have bigger souls too. And those and they said they solidified themselves. When they came into physical form, it solidified their conscious state. And when that conscious state actually solidified, this is what happened, right? They took shape in that. And if you were a dog, well, guess what? Now you have been cut off from source. You're in your, it's like, you here now. Once you come into the physical state, you have the physical consciousness, and that's what happened to them. So their animal sides, like lust and survival and murder and all of that, if you were half snake or half falcon or half eagle, you had superpowers and shit, yes. But at the same time, you had a side of you, like the minotaurs and shit, that would just fuck anything, and, like you craved, very base and debaucherous things because you were in that lower state. That was a big part of your persona. So the ego totally, drove those entities or beings, when you think about it. And then they said it was a rescue mission, right? And this would be like Christ dying for our sins, right? Sacrificing himself for our sins, right? And see, in the original 200 watchers, like according to the book of Enoch, they taught man all of these different things, magic and fucking metallurgy and, makeup and all of this, right? And they were damned. They were condemned to the darkness underneath the rocks, right? Underneath the rocks, that mountain, once again, right? Mount Sinai, Mount Olympus, Mount Hermon, and think these are 3 ages too, right? Mount Olympus, right? That's the age of the giants and gods. Mount Sinai, which would be like the Taurian age. Mount Sinai would be, the fire age, age of Aries, right? Which was the next incarnation, that would be like so they went from Anunnaki, right? To Ajiji, which was the slave race for them, to humanity, which was another slave race, right? Because they're slaving ourselves. We're creating different, copies of ourselves at different lower states of consciousness. So we're still existing, I believe, consciously on different levels and dimensions. There's still, we just can't see it and perceive it because each time we drop in consciousness, guess what? Our light and sound and everything, we perceive things as such a small things. Think about it. We see 0.00001% of the electromagnetic light spectrum, meaning we see nothing. We're blind, right? And that's why Samael is the god of the blind, right? In the, Nag Hammadi, right? God of the blind. Satan, god of the blind. God of this world. Because we're spiritually blind. In our past cycle, we could see everything. We were magic. We interacted with the spirit realm, And that's where you see like the giants and all of that, and they were devouring men. We were being devoured by spiritual entities, because there was no boundary between the two. The Great Flood or the Piscean Age changed all of that, And then what happened, the Nephilim were cursed to walk the earth forever, right? And we see demons and all of this, which are old masks or personas that are feeding off of their parasitic energies that are stuck in a lower vibrational state, right? Feeding off of energy through lower vibrational things like, harm and pain and sadness and all of this. These are fractals or fragments of the collective consciousness. This is ourselves, guys. This is us. We're disconnected from these things. That's us existing on multiple bands of vibration from the lowest to the highest, you know? And that Taurian age, like I said, that was the feminine. And think about it. Mount Hermon would be Hermes, right? That would be like the recent age, you know? The age of Christ. Mount Sinai, right? Aries, that's that masculine paternal age, right? Age of fire. Mount Olympus, right? that was, you know, the gods. And, you know, and think about that. Before that was Titans, you know, and then before that was primordials. Like every culture has it too, where they lay it down to all of us and we still don't fucking get it and wrap our heads around it. We built it all these pyramids and shit, we built it all, and we were crazy fucking intelligent. We were psychic, you know, and we're getting back to that now. We're coming back to our gifts. And this is what I was saying earlier at the beginning about, and please hit that like, hit that thumbs up. You on it? Yeah, well, thank you. So the reason that, you know, we're probably creating AI, because remember, we are the creator. We're fractals or fragments of the creator, you know. So the reason we are probably creating AI, and notice how it mimics creation. It's identical, right? The World Wide Web, right? The Ethernet, right? Ether, you know. All of it, hard drives and shit that mimics brains and all of it. Like, it's us, man. It's artificial intelligence. You know, I believe it's because we're going to create some sort of, you know, we're going to become a cybernetic organism. You know, copying our consciousness and able to transfer it, you know, into, you know, another body. You know, an inorganic body. And these, you know, and that's, you know, think about the Bible, and it talks about the iron mixed with miry clay. You know, the beast of Daniel and shit. This is like all of the ages put together, like to make the transhuman. You know, each age, you know, we accumulate more and more, you know, more elements, you know, and then we shift into new energies, right, and mutate, you know, and this is where we're mutating into the ether, into the consciousness. And that's why, you know, telepathy is now becoming a thing. I don't know how many of you guys, you know, in like quantum hypnosis and shit, these are all, you know, the pre-forms of telepathic abilities, right? I've been experiencing telepathy for about 4 or 5 years now. I don't really say it because people think I'm nuts or I'm lying when I say it, but I've actually, you know, I've been experiencing, you know, I've had strong, prominent experiences with telepathy as well, you know. So, I mean, I'm not going to get into all the details. If you want to talk to me about that on a personal level, you can, but just understand this, that the higher our frequency becomes, the more our vibration raises. You know, we have the ability to project our conscious voice, which is our consciousness, you know, from this beacon, this, you know, this is like a transmitter, right? It's not just an antenna to receive, it also transmits, right? That's why it pulses. If you've ever, you know, felt your third eye just pounding, it's pulsating, it's giving off a transmission, you know, a conscious transmission. That's why the social distancing, right? The 6-foot radius, you know, because your electromagnetic field, right? Your heart generates the largest electromagnetic field of your body, and guess what? It has a 6-foot radius. Your aura generates a 6-foot radius, you know. And like I said, it's all spiritual, so you had to stay away 6, 6, 6, right? You know, that's that Saturnian energy, the cube, right? And 6, right? That Masonic cube, 1 + 5, 1 + 5, 1 + 5, 6, 6, 6, right? The hexagon, hexed, when you've been hexed, or X'd, or crossed, or double crossed, when you die on the cross. Right? And what is a cross? It is a cube, or that box, that black box, right? Which is what's responsible for our language, right? Unfolded, broken open, the box broken open. So it's breaking the box, breaking the mold, stepping outside of the box. And being crucified. He was punctured 5 times, right? The pentagram, the pentacle, the 5 fingers and toes, digits, digitaria, right? Digital world. We've shifted from analog to digital. Do you understand here what's happening? We are creating our next incarnation right now. We're creating our next bodies for our next cycle. And it'll happen in a transitional state progressively, you know, in a mutation. And there may be some type of, you know, event that actually takes place on Earth that might actually force us, you know, to shift physically. Because it does seem like these cycles end all at once. If you look at like the soil records and all of that, it looks like there's these solar flashes, these big bursts of fucking solar energy, conscious awareness, energetic expression, right? And when that burst takes place, you know, just fucking, it's like a nuke, you know, it levels everything. You know, when everything on the earth is mutated, its DNA is mutated, so it's altered and it comes back up different. You know, comes back up different. You know, whether that's like a, you know, a dog, a frog, an alligator, everything changes and mutates and evolves. And it looks like it happens, you know, boom. Like it ain't like this slow, incremental, you know, shit like you've been told. You know, it seems like it happens pretty fucking, you know, damn near all at once. You're too high for this, you know, lost you now. Well, just watch it again, man. If you're lost by it, you know, it doesn't mean you won't catch back up or you won't get into it. You know, this is what I would say too for people that don't like, ain't totally like, you know, locked in. You know, close your eyes. You know, because when we close our eyes, right, we activate our pineal, right. We begin to produce that melatonin and all of that. So it's like close your eyes, right, as you listen or tap into a higher frequency and allow that side of yourself. It's like shifting gears, man. It's like punching the fucking, you know, punching into a higher gear. You know, that's how you pull from the internal you, is by closing your eyes. You know, think about it. If your phone is dying, right? Say your phone is dying. What do? Right? You turn off the screen. Why? Because it's giving off energy, right? It'll die faster if the screen's lit up. Your eyes are that screen, right? So if you have no light escaping from in there, right, you're saving, you know, spiritual energy. And it makes total sense if you truly think about it. You know, it's like you're in sleep mode, you know? And instead of your energy projecting outwardly, it's projecting inwardly, right? So it's focused and concentrated within ourselves then. And like I said, make sure to hit that thumbs up, hit that like, guys. No matter, you know, when you see this, please hit the thumbs up for me. You know, that's how YouTube works. Cincinnati, Ohio. Yes, I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, on the west side. On the west side of Cincinnati. I love it here. I love the city. I just love it, man. I've had a lot of good luck, you know, living here. You know, my life changed when I moved to Cincinnati, back home. You know, I've had a rough road. I lived in Baltimore and all kinds of places. So, I'm grateful to be here today. I'm grateful to be able to share, you know, my perspective and, you know, my awareness with you, you know, now. You know, when it's humbling to me, it honestly is. It's fucking humbling, you know, that we're even able to have this type of conversation today, you know. I remember back when I first started this, guys, hey, I'd be speaking Chinese to you right now. You would not understand it. Like, you would be like, whoa, what is this fucking nut job talking about? You know, and now today I have confidence that even if you don't get all of it, you get most of it. You know, and if you just kind of like consider it or think about it, you know, it'll click. You know, maybe it's just too late for some of you, and that's why it isn't. You know. But we're all capable. We're all on that frequency. We're all on that wavelength now that we're able to fucking, you know, accept this information. That's why the Bible talks about, you know, the last days that knowledge will increase, right? All the mysteries will be revealed. You know, we're in that time. We're in that time. I want to ask you too, because this is a special time, according to not just biblical text, but, most ancient text. And remember, all the ancient texts, the sacred knowledge is our ancestors or us in past or previous incarnations, right? Writing down the ancient wisdom in a form that would interact with our subconscious and trigger our awakening experience again, right? That's why it was a story. That's why it's a pattern, a frequency, a pattern, right? So that's why the stories, all these creation stories, they're putting it in language as a pattern. That way you can recognize that original pattern over and over and over, which is God or creation, the original cookie cutter imprint, if you will, that made humanity to begin with, and that continues to work out and replicate and mirror itself, perpetually, to this day. And like I said, that's why they use symbols, right? The symbols are a representation of an energetic frequency, right? So when we seen those symbols, and you hear like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it says, so the light in you will recognize the light on these tablets. Same thing with these symbols, right? And these sigils, and it says you need to read the Emerald Tablets at least 100 times, right? 100 times. Why is that? Because each time you read it, you catch on to that pattern more and more. That pattern begins to register, and your vibration, your frequency starts to align, and you're able to mimic or match that pattern. You're able to synchronize with that pattern. And once you do, and you are aware of said pattern, that's when synchronicities begin to happen, because the rest of your life is beginning to align to said pattern, right? And that pattern is a vibration, it's a frequency, it's one of awakening, right? And it's one that was actually embodied at the last end of the age. And the end of the age before that. We've done this for ourselves time and time and time and time again, because we know what happens, and we do it in different forms. We write it on rock and, these insane monuments and all that, because, we know that cannot be destroyed, We know that that's not going anywhere. We know that no matter what, that's going to be left standing, no matter any natural disasters, anything. And what's funny about it is like us in the cycle before. So us in the cycle before we, hit the end of the age. Like think about it's almost laughable, isn't it? Like what we thought the Bible meant and what we thought, the pyramids were and all that. It's like laughable. And what's even more laughable is that people to this day still try to cling to that old, outdated understanding. They still try to cling to that. They still try to cling to that false paradigm, that exoteric understanding. And that's like, religions, which, Pisces is about religion. That's why religions are dying now. In the revelation of Christ, which is the revealing of the Christos, or the anointing, right? That spiritual anointing, which is the sacred secretion of the pineal gland, right? That activation through the body up the kundalini, right? So, these religions, right, they were all exoteric or external understandings, but guys, at a subconscious level, that's why people's life would get better from religion. Do you know that? Because you were still, even though you had an external point of view of it, an external understanding, you were still tapping in and tuning in with that pattern, that frequency. That's just the conscious level you were on. And this is the only way I can kind of explain this. I don't know how familiar some of you are. I've hit some very, very high states of consciousness in my past, right? So whenever you hit and you transcend or ascend to a very high state of consciousness, what happens is you begin to have a bird's eye view, right, of consciousness and people and the reality as a whole. And a lot of people go fucking, Cracker Jacks, once they have that awakening, right? They go fucking crazy because they can't handle that state. They've never experienced it before in their entire life. So, you know, it's like once the governor has been taken off of your mind, you know, you think you're going insane, you know, because you can now see through the illusion. You know, you can see through the, you know, the falsehoods of the world. Big time. Big time. Matter of fact, you start to hear your voice in everyone and in everything. That's one of the things that I used to, like, so back in the day, I would be on drugs, and I'd do drugs to try to bring my vibration back down, because I'd get such a high frequency that reality shifted to the point to where I couldn't even handle it. You know what I mean? Like, it was scary. It terrified me. And every bit of my being tried to cling to the old reality and old paradigm, you know? And I thought I was woke as fuck when this was happening. But when it happened and when it took place, I was terrified. I was terrified, you know? I was then able to see the underlying nature of everything. You know, it's like, not only did I hear my voice in everyone and in everything, right? And which is that universal, you know, consciousness. You begin to recognize it as yourself. It's no longer like God or a deity. You're like, holy shit, that's me. You know, I'm speaking to me. And I'm speaking through this person, and I'm speaking through that, and I'm talking, like, I'm communicating to myself through everything all the time. And it's freaky as fuck, you know? And your mind is programmed to such dark, terrible, twisted, weird fucking things, you know? And like me, myself, you know, I believed a lot of distorted beliefs. And that became my reality. So now you've taken off the governor and you're able to really manifest and truly generate and truly create in a way you've never been able to before now, right? Because you no longer have the leashes on, right? It's no longer being filtered through the ego now. But the ego is still there, alive and well, right? The ego still wants to take charge also and run the show. So, you know, if you've told yourself these stories, and I remember a particular girl I was with, you know, when this happened to me, you know, God love her, you know, I don't know how she hung on, you know, during that time. I scared me. I don't know how I didn't scare her. You know, but she would be like, you know, you're creating this, John, you know? Making, it's hard to step off the gas. It's hard not to believe. And like, that's when I really started to learn, like, how to untangle my thoughts. My thoughts were so goddamn fucked up. I couldn't stop thinking. And I couldn't stop thinking negative, crazy, insane, fucking evil, dark shit, because my mind was chocked full of it. Chocked full of it from a lifetime of it. Every scenario, because I had been traumatized so badly in my life. You know, I was raised into abuse, you know, drugs, and just all these terrible, terrible things. And then I get involved in these cults and all this shit, you know. You know, thinking I'm gonna fucking, you know, be one of the, you know, the chosen ones here. You know, I'm illuminated now, and they're gonna illuminate me, and, you know, I'm gonna fulfill my dreams now. No. They couldn't even reach the state of illumination that I was reaching on my own, or you, for that matter. They were trapped into a system of control, right? It had rules. It was built on rules, right? So it had dead ends. It was man-made, constructed. So it's never going to compare to self-initiation, right? Because you don't have those rules unless you create them. So there's no limitations to your spirit unless you place them upon yourself. When you go into a club, a membership, a cult, or whatever, right? A society, right? When you do that, they have rules. There are limits. You know, no matter how expansive it is and no matter how illuminating it is, there's still limits to consciousness within that state. You know, so that's why they're called free agents, right? They're still agents of the system. They're just able to move freely within it. You know. So, I began to manifest a horror movie. I was living in a real life fucking horror movie. You know? And I believed, because this was my belief, right? My belief was that, the Illuminati controlled everything. That, the government was everywhere and everything, and everyone was an agent, and, that was my belief. And that's what my reality became. I literally, I would travel, and everywhere I'd travel, things would just blow up. It was like a fucking conscious bomb was let off everywhere I went, because I'm in this crazy high state of consciousness, and God knows how many people was hexing me and shit along the way too. A lot of them were. I can be honest with you on that. They were trying to steal that energy from me. When you get into that high state, that's that's a badassery energy right there. You have psychic gifts, telepathic abilities, the ability to heal. I mean, you literally give off fucking radiation, you're radiated, like the sun, because you become illuminated, and you go up and down, highs and lows, right? In consciousness and in frequency, So, I get wrapped up in all these people, and I get wrapped up in these groups, man. And they would feed me this, the storylines I already had in my mind began to play out. So I was attracting this into my fucking life. I was attracting handlers. I was attracting, people trying to sacrifice me. And I was attracting, orgies. And I was attracting all of these things because that's what I believed it was like. And God damn, bro, I'm telling you, I almost lost it. I almost lost my shit. I couldn't tell real from fake. Couldn't tell real from fake. I was terrified. I was terrified of myself. And others were terrified of me. Scared to death when they were around me. You give off a different vibe when you're in that state. It's magnetic. And it's magnetic in such a way that it's palpable. You can feel it. It's magnetic in such a way that it's palpable and you can feel it. And I'll be totally honest with you, during these times that we step into these states of consciousness, we get that bird's eye view, like I said. So let's think about it like this. As we communicate, even though we all have this higher self that's up in the heavens, right? We all have it. We might not all be aware of it, but we have it. Just like we all have telepathic abilities, but we're not all tuned into them, right? So we're always consciously and unconsciously communicating, telepathically, through pheromones, frequency, all of that, right? Even if you're not aware of it, even if you're not, and it's like a muscle you haven't used, you're not able to actually control it, Same thing goes for conscious frequency. So it's like you're existing at multiple states, right, of consciousness simultaneously, always. Right? So when you're able to climb that ladder consciously and you get on that top rung or one of the higher rungs than what everybody else is 7.83 hertz, right? Schumann resonance, which is the human resonance, right? Everybody else is vibing at this, but you're vibing at a fucking, you're on 10, right? And when you do that, it's like looking down right? Because remember, that's what the heavenly hosts are doing, and that's what we're doing, is like we're reconnecting with our higher self, which, you know, is the luminaries, right? Which is the stars, okay? So as we get higher and higher consciously, we are looking down, right? From a bird's eye point of view, consciously. So as we communicate with people, we experience it in a different manner. You know, we're actually able to hear both sides of a conversation simultaneously. And I don't know how to explain this in any other way than this. It's like your consciousness, not only does it recognize itself and the other person as they're communicating, you're picking up on, you know, all of these, you know, trigger words and key phrases and parts of the pattern, right, that you vibrate with, right, at that state, you know, and you're communicating in a way, like a telepathic way with this person. And you're communicating with their higher self, but they aren't aware of it, you know. So it's like you communicating with you through them. And this is the wild part. But you can still also hear the ego, right, the lower side of them, talking to you, you know, on the physical earth plane. So it's like you can communicate, you know, but you're also communicating on this quantum fucking, you know, unconscious level with people. So you're like, it's this dualistic communication that's taking place. You know, you're simultaneously talking to somebody with your higher and your lower self at the same fucking time. And it is mind-blowing when it happens. Not only that, like, and a lot of people don't recognize this because they haven't tuned in yet, or they haven't, you know, wake up out of it, right? And when they do wake up, what happens is, even when they watch content, right, or somebody that's on a frequency like that, somebody that's emitting that, right, they then start to receive the messages in that way as well, right? That's when you watch somebody and you feel like they're talking or speaking directly to you, right? As if when you were watching me right now, right? Like, as if I'm talking directly to you and I'm trying to tell you, you know, like, this is you. This is you, and this is how we do this. You know, this is how we snap out of the illusion. This is how we wake up out of this paradigm. This is how we take control of ourselves. You know. And the more negativity and the more distortion that we introduce into our self, our sphere, right? Our aura, our energy, the lower it brings us and the cloudier the message gets, right? The more distorted the message gets. You know, so the more distorted it is, right? The more distorted you are, that's what's coming out of you is distortion. So that's what's coming back to you too is distortion. So you're going to perceive it and receive it in the same way, right? So it's going to sound evil, or it's going to, you know, because you haven't conquered that part of yourself yet. You haven't purged that part of yourself yet. And that's what scares a lot of people when they first start, you know, when they first tap into this stream of consciousness that I'm giving you now, right? When you first tap in, you dip your toes in the water of this consciousness. Like, what begins to happen is a lot of people, you know, not only does it crack their ass open like an egg, you know, wide the fuck open. When you become wide the fuck open like that, you are, you know, you're subject to spiritual attack, you know. You're subject to spiritual attack, and not because you're weak or anything like that, but because your defenses are down. You've been stripped now, you know. We pulled off the mask, and now we're down to the bare essence of who we are. But does it mean that you're in danger? No, it does not. Yeah, you're probably going to take some wounds, but keep your nose clean when you're in that state, and don't fuck with people, you know? Don't go out for war when you don't have your armor on, you know? Don't get in a fight if you ain't got this, you know? So when we take off the mask, when we unzip the skin and step out into the realness of ourselves, when we're able to do that, you know, we're able to see the world with new eyes and different eyes, and not any other eyes you've ever thought you could even see with, you know, ever in your life. It's something entirely different. It's, you begin to see what this new cycle and new age is going to be. And let me just tell you this, it is fucking amazing. It is fucking amazing. You realize that all the shit that they told you, like, you'll laugh at all the new age, airy-fairy nonsense. You'll laugh at it. You'll embrace yourself in such a new way, embody yourself in such a new way, like so unashamed. Because you'll see that, you know, you are like the stew of perfection of what you were meant to be. You know? There's not one fucking thing wrong with you. Not one thing off. You are perfect. As is. We have 40-something people up in the chat and only 20, you know, likes. Please hit that thumbs up for me, y'all. Thank you. But you are that perfection. You know? You've finally taken off this mask that has hidden the true you, you know, from the world your entire life. You know, and now that that mask has fallen, it's like you've been liberated. You know, but you've never been out in the sun before. You've never been out in the sun before. You've never seen the real sun. You know? But now that you see this light, it'll burn your eyes, it'll burn your skin, right? It hurts, it's intense. You know? And your first instinct is going to be to turn your head, right? To run away from it, to be scared of it. You know, but you have to fight that temptation. You have to overcome your fears. You know, you ever heard of like quantum hypnosis and shit like that? You know how they're actually doing that? You know, they're using neuro-linguistic programming to speak to the subconscious or the unconscious, right? Just like you will be able to do once you step into the stream of consciousness I'm trying to share with you. Right? You can be quantum anytime you choose to. You will be quantum always. You can turn it off and turn it on anytime you need to. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to wish it would turn off. It's intense, you know? And once you see, you can't unsee. And once you know, you can't unknow. You know, and that's what scares people. That's what, you know, makes people hesitant. You know, you've been indoctrinated into this system of belief that it's all evil, it's all witchcraft, it's all darkness. You know what? You don't need to do one spell, rite, or ritual. Once you actually step into your true essence and being, you become magic itself. You know, the only thing that holds you back is you. You know, and it's going to take you a while, piece by piece, bit by bit, chip by chip, right? Like chiseling. Hard work to knock off the insecurities, to knock off the disbelief, the unbelief, and it's like in ourselves. And you might go through a phase, because we all do, you know, where you think you're God, you know, or Jesus, or whatever. I did. A lot do. You know, but that's the ego wanting to accept that role, that office, right? And take it for its own, right? Take ownership of that office, right? To elevate yourself above everybody else. Like, I'm God, I'm Christ, I'm Jesus, right? And a lot of people go there. And it doesn't make you evil or bad, you know, but that's what the ego wants to do. You know, once it actually realizes that you are God. You know, not the God, you know, as in the omnipotent, omnipresent collective energy we call creator, But you are a fractal of that, a fragment of that. That's why you're a son of the Most High. You're a piece of it. You know, and another thing that's going to happen too is, you know, your nightmares will come to reality if you don't control them and purge them and face them. You know, and that's part of the healing process. You know, and so many people talk about doing shadow work and all of this, and I'm not telling you that they don't know what they're talking about. I'm telling you, most of these people, you can tell, have never actually had a true self-initiation or experience. You know, the way that they talk about it shows, you know. Because these exercises of walking through trauma, I mean, are fucking laughable a lot of times, you know. These are elements of ourself, like from past lifetimes that are unhealed, that will manifest themselves in the most fucked up ways. You know, and you're going to have so many, you know, barstool fucking therapists and philosophers and all of this that's going to try to tell you exactly how to do it. I can tell you this, that no one can tell you how to heal but you. You know, we can share what worked for us and we can share what's effective for us, but we're so unique and individual. You know, your experience is going to be your experience. And, you know, if you state the intention, you know, and like I said, you know, close your eyes and, you know, invert that energy, right? If you do that and you ask the universe, you say, you know, please, you know, lift the veil. I want to initiate myself into the mystery. Right? I give myself over to the universe. Right? I ask for the anointing of the Christos. Right? I ask you to remove the scales from my eyes. I ask to be in harmony and in alignment with the Creator and source of all. I call back all my original energy and all my original essence to me without distortion, in its purest form. I claim my inheritance and my sovereign birthright as a child of the Most High, a son of God. I embody truth, awareness, health, wealth, prosperity. I am these things. None of these things can exist outside of me because they are all in me. They are of me. They are from me. I am not the God, but I am a God. A supreme magistrate, meaning a ruler over my own reality. I humble myself as a servant of my fellow man. See, God, and this is what most people don't understand, to truly be power and have power, right? Power. And there is a God of power and a God of force and all of this if you look into you know, different spiritual meanings. To have that power and that force, see, the Creator, if you think about it, the Creator of all things, yes, does the Creator have ultimate control over everything? Yes, I think we'd agree. The Creator energy can do whatever it wants to do, right? God energy can do whatever it wants to do. But let me tell you a secret, though. God energy is a servant to everyone and everything. God energy is a servant to everyone and everything. It is at the beck and call of every creature that is existing, every speck, every molecule, every atom that exists. Every bit of the human or non-human consciousness that we call reality, that we call the projection, the creation, right, the universe, that God or source energy is in servitude to it, in service to it. Think about that. Let that sink in for a moment. So what do you need to do? And think about this and see, and this is where you start to pick up on how it's a distortion to, you know, and why these base perverse ideologies end up prevailing, but they will end up, you know, busting your head, you know, once you try to actually implement them and walk them out in real life. Like, you know, different forms of like witchcraft and thelema and shit like that. These are flawed ideologies, and I'll tell you why. And it doesn't mean I don't practice Solomonic magic or I don't know anything about that. You know, I'm, you know, very skilled with these things. But I know a lot of people get lost on the path because they lose God. They lose that essence of serving. Right? So think about it. Do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. Right? And do what thou wilt is the whole of the law, meaning, you know, your will. Right? All things are in service to you. Do you know what happens when you do that? Instead of freeing yourself and seeing this is, you know, the mirrored world, right? The mirrored, inverted world, the reflection that we live in, okay? And people don't grasp this. That's why we have, you know, things like, you know, Luciferians use reverse manifestation and shit. You know, they reverse the process because they understand it's a mirrored world, a mirrored reality. So doing what thou will, right? Meaning I'm the king, I'm Big Dick Daddy from Cincinnati, and I'm on top of it all, right? I'm creator, I'm God, I'm all of it, right? And in all things, I have dominion over all things, right? Meaning all things serve me, serve my will. See, you're going in, you know, opposition to the nature of creation, right? If the creator is in service, you know, to all things, right? You're supposed to mimic that. You're an image, you're a reflection of that, right? We're supposed to be like, you know, God, you know, follow God, basically. So we're supposed to be in service, you know, as well. But instead, when we pervert that, see, that's, you know, satanic, right? Believing you are your own God, right? That's Satanism, true Satanism, right? To where now everything that you're doing is an attempt to manipulate the energy. There's no longer allowing anything to happen, right? It's all about force, right? Forcing things to happen and seeing it's going against, you know, free will is what it is. You're forcing by, you know, bending and twisting all of the elements and the energies and all of that to your will, right? To manifest, attract things to the way that you want them instead of the way that they're meant to be or in their natural state, right? In lower consciousness, that's what it does. It seeks to control, right? That's why you see like the archons, right? Governors, right? The rulers of the reality. That's why you see government, right? Govern means to lord over or control, which is another base word for archon, right? Mental, your mind. They're up in their head space, right? And see, think about it. In witchcraft and all of this, it's mentalism, right? It's mentalism. Because in thought me, right? All things start there first. The universe is mental, the all is mind, right? So instead of manifesting and generating from the heart, right, which is the seat of the soul, you know, and thy will be done, you know, being a servant to that creative energy, that creative source, you know, it's trying to actually put your foot on the throat of that source, right? And ride that wave, you know, ride that energy to bend everything to your will. So instead of do what thou wilt, you know, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. It's thy will be done, right? And that's how you manifest, right? Like, because then when you're allowing everything to happen, you're no longer pinching off that energy and creating resistance, you know? You don't have any resistance to these things because you're in allowance of it. You're in alignment for it. And so many people act like, you know, this ain't the way to go, but I promise you, I've tried both. You know, I've tried to witchcraft my way through everything. And I'm good at it too. Trust me, I'm a beast. You know, and that's what I found. You know, I was cutting off my nose to spite my face is what was happening. You know, because everything that I did something against and bent, and it was against it, right? If I'm trying to manipulate it or force it, I'm against it, right? So I was creating negative karma or negative blowback from everything, right? Because it wasn't just, you got to think, like, we're not just harming someone or something else, right? We're also harming ourselves because we are also that someone or something. So you're getting double back. You know, you're putting out this energy, you're putting out this, you know, effort, this frequency to try to create something or manipulate something, and then it hits that object, hits that wall, hits that person, right? Snowballs, right? It picks up momentum and doubles back, right, onto you. And see, karma, hexes, spells, curses, they can't attach to you unless you have negative karma for them to attach to, you know. When you have negative energy, that's when they can attach. When you have distortions in your auric field, that's when they can attach, guys. You know, when you're clean, that's why I talk about, you know, covered in the blood of Christ, right? That blood, that life blood, right? You know, that ambrosia, you know, the drink or the nectar of the gods, you know, of Christ, the Christos, the anointing. Because when you're in that state, right, you're untouchable. There's nothing can stick to you. Nothing can attach. You know, because anytime something attaches, remember, it's because we fragment. We fracture. Spiritually, mentally, energetically, emotionally. And we create an altar. So building the altar to these false gods, false deities, false idols, right? Sacrificing our energy to these idols on these altars. And think about all through the Bible, it talks about, you know, building altars and shit like that. Now you know what it actually means. The Bible is the most esoteric book on the face of the earth. And it's a compendium of damn near all of the ancient texts in one, you know. So we build these altars, and, you know, wherever we are fragmented or fractured, where these altars are in our life, you know, we are not only now feeding energy to ourselves at that place, to that thought, that feeling, that emotion, but we've split it in two. So we're feeding energy externally to something now. And think about all of the astral ties you created throughout your entire life. Like women, they retain the DNA of every man they've ever slept with. All those are astral ties. You retain the DNA of every man you've ever slept with because we imprint on you. We like copy paste. You know, that's how we create life. You know. It's how we manifest, right? You manifest off of the male, right? The masculine energy, right? Or he manifests off the female, right? The feminine energy. The two work together, you know. But if you think about this, like, you know, it makes a lot of sense. You know, this is like the depth of the deepest too, you know. Talk about the rulers of this world. Well, the maritime law thing, you know, doesn't actually have anything. I mean, you know, I know we've been convinced that it's all about the oceans and shit like that. But see, it's about the waters above the firmament, like the heavenly oceans, right? And think about, you know, the waters meaning, you know, semen or sea foam is the translation, you know, the seas. Right? And that's why you get space ships, right? They're sailing on ships, right? Ships, UFOs, vessels, right? It's really this. This is your vessel, right? This is your craft, You know, because this is what you're crafting your magic through. This is what you're crafting your reality through, is your vessel, you know, your ship that's allowing you to float through this, you know, the waters below the firmament, just like the waters above. You know, you're in a different vessel, in a different craft, you know. So the whole maritime law thing, you know, we talked about this earlier, right? Like, you know, the dock tours and all of that, right? Putting it on the soles of your feet, you know. This is how they, you know, get you into spiritual bondage, because it's as above, so below. So they're binding you, you know, in the physical to bind you in the spiritual from the day you step on this fucking earth. So it's like we're constantly being, you know, we're constantly trying to untangle the mess, you know, that we get in ourselves into. And, you know, so many people, when they go into healing mode, they think, I need to be alone. And I'm not saying you can't go into hermit mode. I do. But there are some things, guys, that just will never be brought out of you until you are triggered by another person. You know, triggered by a relationship, by love, something that brings out those insecurities in you. That's when you truly heal. So many people say, I'm doing me, I need to do me, and da-da-da-da, because I need to heal. And it's like, well, yeah, you can only do so much about that, you know, like when you're doing you in isolation, because we are social creatures, we're meant to, you know, be social. You know, that's why, you know, the agenda is against the family unit, right, the nuclear family, because that is the core of civilization, you know, is family. You know, that's how we hold it all together. Masculine, feminine, right? It's reproduction, all of it. That's how humanity continues. So if they attack that, they attack our strength. We're weaker alone, you know. Any type of prey, you know, like, think about lions and shit, you know, when they get a gazelle, they get one by itself, a young one by itself. Boom! You know? That way they can, they can jump it and devour it, you know? But that's why there's an attack on the nuclear family. You know, and the numbers reflect that, most definitely. Whether there's an attack on sexuality, that's why there's an attack on gender, that's why, you know, that's why there's an attack on morale or morals, you know. Is to weaken all of us. That way we're easier prey. See, the people, or what we call the powers that be, those who make most of the decisions on, you know, this planet. I know a lot of people want to think they're all fucking lizard beings and all of that. And you know what? In essence, I guess they are. But it's not for why you think, probably. Right? It's that side of them, like, you know, that serpent aspect of all of us, right? They have more, I believe. They're, you know, however they shifted from one of the previous cycles, maybe they were the original bloodlines that actually fell. When we talked about the primordial beings earlier, right? The ones who, you know, cohabitated with animals and all that, what we would call the fallen. You know, a lot of these elitist bloodlines actually, you know, claim to come from, you know, these kings and descendants, you know. So, just saying, you know. So when we get like this whole thing about, you know, them being fucking lizard people and all this, it's because, you know, that cold-blooded aspect is prominent within them, right? And like, you know, we also know too, you know, a lot of people talk about like the slits in the eyes and all of that, you know, and like, you know, serpents and shit like that, they, you know, they devour their own children. You know, so this is like that pure ego, pure distorted energy being embodied. And maybe there was a batch of human beings, you know, that actually either actually came into this world and purely, you know, created that. And that's what we call the fallen angels or the watchers, like the 200, right? The reason that they're cursed to be, covered by the rocks, right, into darkness is because they had none of that living breath or living spirit in them. Whenever they fell or solidified their reality from their primordial state down here, creating like, eagle-headed beings and minotaurs and all of that, was, when they did that, they had, it was all animalistic spirit, all distorted, lower, lesser spirit, right? All shadow, no light. And as we've transformed and went through the cycles, maybe those 13 families, and notice there's 13 of them, right? And that's, once again, back to the mysteries, right? The 13 is, the zodiac and you in the middle, or the sun in the middle, right? That's why there's no 13 on elevators and all of that, Those 13 bloodlines, all representing, one of those archetypical energies as well from the zodiac. So... lizard people, yeah, hey, fuck a bunch of lizard people, right? I am interested. Anybody got any questions tonight, too? If you want to, like, fucking drop some questions, I do want to ask people. We got 33 in the chat. Yay. Make sure to hit the thumbs up, hit the like. I would like to see if anybody's got any questions or anything they want to throw out there, anything that I've talked about over the last couple hours that you didn't register or you didn't get. I'd be happy to elaborate on it. I do want to, throw another, little grain out there. Andrew from the Boogeyman channel, the Dot Connector podcast. My amazing moderator, Kimberly F., actually hipped me with the article. I believe there's a Los Angeles something paper, and it said that Andrew, took his own life, right, and that he died of a shotgun wound to the head. Which is sad. On my Facebook, I did post, kind of like a little something about Andrew. And a picture, from one of our shows together. We did quite a few shows together. Me and Boogie did. He was a great man, great guy. I loved him, man. I loved him. He was such a down-to-earth person. He was so fucking funny and hilarious. Very talented, very intelligent. It's a damn shame. And Bex, I'm sure she is torn to pieces. And I believe they had a child, too. So, yeah. Which took them forever. Like, it's just crazy. Just crazy. I know he struggled, with, substance issues and shit just like me. That's what made me and him so close, So, like, I'm just glad I got out of all that because I wanted to die myself when I was like that. So, I did. I wanted to off myself. And you guys remember, I was fucking homeless and all kinds of shit when I was going through that. No stability whatsoever. Not even a little bit. I feel very bad for him and his family, is all I'm saying. He will be missed. And John Boy 513, if you go look down at the bottom of this YouTube channel, you'll see Best Damn Podcast 2, which is youtube.com/Best Damn Podcast. And then John Boy 513, which is youtube.com/JohnBoy5137, I think. And Song of the Sage is one of the greatest videos me and him ever did together. I put that link over on Facebook. And John Boy 513 and Best Damn Podcast 2 has episodes of me and him on there. You can probably find them on the main channel too. If you want to, see Andrew and, all of that. Yeah, so... he was a great fucking guy. Seriously, that's a tragedy. It really is. Let's see what else. I do want to give a few announcements while I got you guys too. I'm not going to wrap it up just yet, but I got a few more things I want to add. Yes, we are viewer powered. So, if you enjoy my work, you enjoy what I do, consider donating and supporting to the channel. Guys, it is so hard these days to make money creating content. It really is, especially this kind of content. They have shadow banned the fuck out of me. I am invisible. I lose subscribers. I don't gain them. I've been demonetized and everything. And I can work my ass off to put out, deep dives and content and all that, and, they'll just hide it. So you won't be notified or anything, and it's sad. I work so hard at this, but yeah, please consider donating, and to everybody who does donate, thank you. Seriously. Nobody donates anymore these days, and maybe it's because I do a lot of the tarot stuff, I would say that's probably why, but, I'm going to try to do more of this content again, but, just the positive words too, the comments and shit, man, that's such good encouragement. It makes me feel so good. It makes me want to keep going. Just the positive words, positive love. So you can donate PayPal, Cash App, Facebook Messenger Pay. I do not have Venmo anymore, so ignore that. And patreon.com Best Damn Podcast Official. And like I said, we're going to start doing weekly private shows again over on Patreon. We'll probably do it, and this will be for Facebook subscribers too. Whether you're subscribed to John Keane or the Best Damn Podcast on Facebook, if you got a subscription, you'll get access to it too. I'll be posting it in our private stuff, which they're, anyways. Or you can join us over on Patreon. I do pay for free merch on my Patreon, which is crazy. Nobody does that anymore. They make you pay for it, but I pay for it. So $25 tiers and up, not only do you get access to our private playlist, which are the Mysteries of the God series. Dude, we cover Egypt, ancient Greeks. I mean, all of it, dude. It's cool. And I'm going to pick that series back up as well. And then we've also got things like the Necronomicon, which is a 2-part. The Gateway Project, or Gateway Experience, is a 2-part. The Forbidden Occult series, which is another, killer fucking series. All these are, private playlists. You can't watch them, anywhere but there over on Patreon. And plus we have all of the uncensored content, that, is way too hot for, any of the public platforms. So, donate, join. If you donate, I will send you a link to those playlists and stuff if you text me as well. If you would like to book a personal tarot reading, text 513-393-2396 or email the Real Best Damn Podcast at gmail.com. And, I'm just going to put it out there. Please, serious inquiries only. I get so many people that, they message. I don't do free readings and all that stuff. I don't want to charge everybody and be a jerk. But the truth of the matter is it takes a lot of time and effort to put those together. I do astrology charts as well. So if you want to see, how compatible you and your person are, you want to check out your astrology, I do that as well. And then the tarot readings. I have never had a person in my life, say that a tarot reading didn't resonate or, vibe. So that's my passion and love. I love the tarot. For sure. And I have a lot of people that are regulars. They book regularly. And if you're one of those, I'll give you my discounted price. If you're a supporter of the channel, I'll give you my discounted price. But readings start at $50. So it's $50 for a reading, and $35 is the discount. But like I said, if you've never booked a reading, you won't get the discount. So please, don't ask. What else? Yeah, make sure to subscribe, especially follow me, Facebook, John Keane, Best Damn Podcast. So it's facebook.com, John Keane Best Damn Podcast, and facebook.com, Best Damn Podcast. Follow both those channels. They are doing so great. I'm reaching fucking 500,000 people on my personal page, and I'm shadow banned, still reaching that many. My tarot readings get thousands and thousands and thousands of views. It's just awesome. Over there. And then the Best Damn Podcast, all the videos we pump out over there, they do great. So we kill it over on Facebook. We also have a Facebook group too. About 1.5 thousand people in it. Help me to join, make it grow. I have a new Discord as well. You can catch that through our Patreon. I believe the link that'll be in this description isn't any good. I'll try to delete it so it's not up there. Follow me, Instagram. Instagram's growing. I just got a video that got 560,000 views. So, I mean, like, I'm killing it everywhere else, but YouTube is not. So it's like I've never been, well, I did put a short up yesterday, and it's got over 10,000 views. So here on YouTube, but it's a short, So watch my shorts. I got some really good shorts up here on YouTube. Go to the community section. I'm notorious for posting funny and fucking ridiculous ass memes. And you can steal anything you want. You can share any of my content you want. You can use it all. I'll never try to bust you with the copyright or, any of that. Just give me credit if you use it, okay? Like put a link to the channel you took it off of. That's all I ask, And yeah, I don't care. I want you to make money. I want you to have a good life too, man, for sure. If you would like to collab with me, hit me up, email me, text me. If you're just a fan of what I do and you love what I do and you just want to say hi, hit me up, text me, email me. I'd love that. It's just what else we got here? Yeah. So Instagram is Best Damn Podcast, and then X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, is The Real Best Damn. That's probably the only platform, I haven't had like a whole lot of growth on, but I plan on doing, more spaces. If you guys are interested in doing the spaces with me, let me know. That will also be something. So I'm trying to set up a new schedule, We'll see where we do, a space once a week, a private Discord once a week, and then a live on YouTube or a Facebook Live once a week. I'm trying to really switch it up. And then I do the daily tarots and the weekend tarots and all that good shit. So, and then post, all my reels and shorts and all that. So I've been working really hard, guys, like trying to just pump out cool content and good stuff, to really just put it out there in the ether. It's like, that's what it's all about, It's like all of us just contributing our little, our little bit, like, of who we are, sharing ourselves with everyone else and like being unashamed and unapologetic for who we are as well, because there's only one of us, like it is our destiny. I know it doesn't seem like that, but we are that's why I call it this, like, it's consciousness at a crossroads, because it is. Not just because we're, crossing into a new age, and we're at the end of a cycle. It's like you can see in the world right now, man. Look at, politics and the presidential, debate and, how this whole election year and just, we are at a fucking crossroads. Look at religions all over the world. We are at a fucking crossroads. Look at all the crime, child trafficking, and just all of it. We are at a crossroads. Look at the spiritual communities and how trendy and fake and fraudulent they've become. They've stolen our community. They've stolen it from us, right out from underneath of us. And now they're telling us what's acceptable and what's not. Now they're telling us what's woke, what's awareness and what's not. And all they're doing is propagating more of that agent fucking funded garbage. We are at a crossroads, dude. Stop fucking gassing up these fake fucking gurus that aren't authentic. They don't have a genuine bone in their body. Stop pumping them up. If you're on that shit, don't unsubscribe, bitch. Like, bye. I don't want you here. I don't want you here. We're not for everybody here. We're not for everybody here. Not everybody can vibe with this. Not everybody can get on this wave, you know? And that's a fact. That's a truth. And it's always been that way. This community, no matter how big we've gotten, and we've been big, no matter how much we've grown, and we've grown a lot over the years. You know, we've been taken down so many times it's not funny. Deleted so many times it's not funny. You know, but we keep popping back, coming back, you know, stronger and stronger. But we ain't for everybody, man. You know, this is the advanced class. You know, this is the advanced class. You know, don't come in here getting pissed because you can't keep up or understand what we're talking about. You know, just keep watching, man. Keep watching, you'll pick it up. If you haven't by now, you'll pick it up. Go watch the old videos. I put together some of the greatest deep dives in the history of fucking YouTube on this channel. Watch my other channels. I have different content on all the platforms, man. You know? And I've had shit go viral on every platform. You know, hugely viral on every platform. You know, we've touched a lot of people. This community has always been special. It's always been full of the most genuine, kind, loving, fucking just real solid motherfuckers you will ever meet. Especially in a spiritual community online. Especially on the watered down YouTube and, you know, Facebook and all that now. You know, these people here, these are the outcasts. You know, they're the ones who came to the crossroads in their life and they chose to be illuminated. They chose illumination. They chose enlightenment. They chose themselves. They chose love. They chose light. They chose God. They chose truth. No matter what it was, you know, they lost their husbands, their wives, estranged from their children, grandchildren, homeless, right? Friends turned on them, all of it, man. Lost their livelihood. Anything you can think of, they sacrificed it here. Guarantee it, bud. They sacrificed it here, and so did I. Birds of a feather. You know, and ain't nobody better here. It's always been the motto. Everyone is welcome here. Gay, straight, trans, black, white, left, right, up, down, purple, green, in between. You know, you're all welcome here. You're all invited to this party. This conscious expression of unique individuals. And that's the best thing. Like, so the highest frequency, most powerful vibration possible, is authenticity. So tell all those fake, bun-headed, fucking wannabe gurus to suck your ass, right, with all their love and light nonsense when they don't really believe it. They're just saying it because everybody else is saying it. They're just saying it because they think that's what you want to hear. Be authentic. That's what really carries the most powerful vibe. Join us on this stream of consciousness not everyone can tap into. Join us, you know? Which is, you know, joining up with your higher self. Joining up with you again. Like, welcome home, basically. Welcome back. Welcome back to your family, your soul family, your original family, your original tribe. We've been waiting for you. But we knew you were going to come, so we opened the door. But we've always been waiting, and we've always loved you, and we've always understood you. You know? And nobody else has. You know, nobody understands us. We're not built the same. And we're proud of it. We embrace it. We love it here. We don't care. We don't want to be built like them. You know? We bring something totally different to the table. Each one of us too, like each one of us have our own unique individual gifts. And I'm talking, if you want to see some people that will blow your fucking mind, just keep watching, keep joining. You will. There are people, you know, in this family that have telepathic abilities. Literally. That are absolute mentalists and with their consciousness can literally shape reality. These are real magicians here. We bring the real magic here. This is another level. This ain't us like in some fucking cult sacrificing a goddamn goat and then fucking each other up the rectum. No, we don't get down like that. You know, nope. This is us tapping into a stream of consciousness, right? And allowing the inner expression of ourself to blow wide the fuck open into reality. To send a wave of spirit that becomes a tsunami as it picks up momentum. And as it picks up momentum, as it carries speed, force, power, it just destroys anything and everything that is not in alignment for us and our highest good and our truest, most unique, authentic expression of ourselves. We're always in Empress energy over here. Right? We're never chasing. It's always allowing, always serving one another, giving to one another, loving one another. And looking for the opportunity to share, looking for the opportunity to grow, looking for the opportunity to love, and looking for the opportunity and the chance to heal. Not just ourselves, but everyone else. So, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still checking this out, please hit that thumbs up for me. Share this link. That is the best way to support me. Share it to your Facebook, share it to your Twitter, share it to your YouTube community. Please, share. You know, help it to get out there. Put it in your Facebook groups, just whatever, just share it. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and the like, regardless, hit it. I don't care if you hit thumbs down, just, you know, interact. Please comment, man. After the video's over, I'm asking each one of you to please just leave one comment, even if it's just a heart emoji, leave one comment for me. I would appreciate that tremendously. And if you haven't been getting the notifications, unsubscribe and then resubscribe and click all on the notification bell. We have got so much fucking great shit coming. I'm telling you. We're going to be doing so many more lives, so many more cool things. It's like I've got my shit together and I'm crushing it on every platform. I'm ready to bring it back here and start crushing it here again. You know, with real content, the content I love the most. So, and I love doing these lives. So, like I said, we're viewer powered, so I'm gonna ask everybody. I'm gonna say thank you to everyone that gives. You know, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Seriously, you know, this is like my livelihood. This is how, you know, I make it. You know, I DoorDash now too on my electric scooter. I look like a straight nerd. Which I don't know if you ever DoorDashed. It's not, hey, you're not going to get rich off DoorDashing, just like you're not going to get rich off of, you know, content creation, you know. So, and if anybody does donate, you deserve a fucking gold medal because people don't do that anymore. So book a personal reading, astrology, tarot, all of that. I will hook you up. I'll send you, you can either get the video, and I'll take your, your astrology information, name, birth date, birthplace, and time of birth if you know it. Write me a paragraph, maybe two, depending on what you want to do, about your situation, and tell me your question. And then I record you a private video, and I leave it unlisted on YouTube. That way then you have it like forever. You can watch it for eternity. I never delete them or take them down. You can ask anybody who's ever got one. And nobody else gets to see it but who you give that link to. If you don't have time to sit down and do a one-on-one, or you have the option of doing like a FaceTime or, whatever with me. And I'll keep in mind, I'm a talker. So we do, we'll sit there 10, 15 minutes, good 10, 15 minutes before we do the reading. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour. And, I'll talk to you and get a feel and tap into your energy and, just kind of figure out what's going on. And, and we work through it together. Divination is how we divine the current energy, and energy is fluid. So it allows us to kind of see like past, present, future, who's doing what. And people come to me for readings when they need guidance. When they need confirmation, when they need guidance, when they, feel like they need direction in life. So, keep that in mind. They're great birthday gifts and all that. Check out our merch. If anybody's interested in helping me design, some new merch, hit me up and let me know. I'm looking for people to work with me. Not just, I need, some co-hosts. People interested in co-hosting, but you have to be dedicated and committed. I need people that, would like to help me with new logos and, all of that kind of stuff, graphics, people to, help create merch. I would split the profit with you if you, on the logos you designed, I'm not greedy, at all. But I need somebody to do my administrative stuff and all that. I just need some, need one or two good people to work with me, and, how we would do it. We would discuss pay, but it would be like, everything, you get paid just like I do. Like whatever we made it off of, like that would be, how you got it. So, if you're interested, please let me know, co-host too, definitely. So I'd love to have some people that I could do weekly or bi-weekly podcast with and just really create like a new show, a new dynamic with. I'd love it. And we may even start a whole new channel for it as well. What else? I think that's about it. Yeah, make sure to follow me, Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, YouTube, Best Damn Podcast Official, and Best Damn Podcast for BDP2. JohnBoy513, which is JohnBoy5137. Facebook, yeah, all that good stuff. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Let me go through the chat a little bit. Kimberly F, Betty Bonnie, Chrono Crucify BDP, Zero Infinity Live. I've seen a lot of good names in here tonight. Rhonda Marlowe, these are all people I know. I just fucking love you guys, man, so much. Tyler Chapman, I hope you're doing better, Tyler. Yeah, and like if you need spiritual work too, like Tyler, he had, I don't want to say, but people come to me for demonic attachments, love spells, healing, like all kinds of shit. I've done dream interpretations. Like I'm real with this shit, y'all. I've been doing it over a decade. I'm a badass. So, Thaddeus Max, thank you so much, guys. All right, man, I will let you go. Here we go. Cougs 406. I love you guys so much. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and donate to support, book a reading. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Go have an awesome weekend. Peace.